Okay, so I'll hit. Oh, damn.
We are live.
What's up?
Welcome to another edition of the Fred Hampton Leftist Roundtable. We have some great Fred Hampton Leftists on the panel today, and we likely will be getting another one maybe during the conversation. But we have Sabrina, we have Meg, we have JB, and Nick, along with myself for this. I believe maybe Afeni is the one who's going to be joining us. Now, this week it was a little bit hard to kind of select. I mean, there's a lot going on in the leftist, movement. So it was kind of hard to select which topics this week, but I think we got some good topics. We're going to be talking about, of course, the eviction moratorium. I think that's top of line. We're going to be discussing Andrew Cuomo and the situation that's happening with him with the latest AG report. And then our last topic will be Nina Turner, her special election, and what's happening with her next. Of course, if we have time, we'll always cover what's hot on Twitter, what's trending on Twitter. So let's get right into it. I'm going to give JB the heads up. We're going to be starting that video in just a few seconds. So let's start out with the eviction moratorium. And just let's try to give an overview, a quick overview of what has happened. And let's go ahead and roll that video, JB.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. No worries. Well, I can kind of describe it as you're pulling. There it goes. Mm-hmm. This is the first video. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right. If you can roll that.
The Biden administration announced a new limited moratorium banning home evictions in the U.S. for another 60 days, based on areas hit hard by the coronavirus. A temporary ban on evictions expired a few days ago and put millions of people at risk of living on the street. Progressive politicians like Cori Bush, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Elizabeth Warren fought to keep the moratorium, which yielded a success. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued Tuesday's order for areas with high levels of COVID-19, covering about 90% of the nation's population. The CDC said it will expand protections to other areas if they see a rise in infections, as the Delta variant sweeps the country, mostly in the South. According to an Aspen Institute study, more than 15 million people and nearly 7 million households are behind on rental payments and collectively owe more than $20 billion to landlords. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said in a statement, quote, "This moratorium is the right thing to do to keep people in their homes and out of congregate settings where COVID-19 spreads." This new order protects renters through October 3rd, but almost certainly faces legal challenges. The National Apartment Association, which manages nearly 10 million rental units, sued the government last week for billions of dollars in unpaid rent. The group called the CDC's new order, quote, "an unfunded government mandate that forces housing providers to deliver a costly service without compensation and saddles renters with insurmountable debt." Biden has said the extension would give the federal government time to distribute unused, congressionally approved funds, over $40 billion, to help pay unpaid rent and ultimately keep people in their homes. He also acknowledged the legal risks of moving ahead, but said he'll leave it up to the courts.
Kill the blind man.
Yeah, so that was kind of a broad overview by Reuters about the what's happening with the eviction moratorium. But I think I want to kind of give a leftist version of it before we go around the table. Both Republicans and Democrats have known that this eviction moratorium will be ending. Everybody on the planet knows, at least everybody in the United States knew. Okay. The eviction moratorium expires. Cori Bush is sleeping out on the steps. AOC and some other progressives make appearances, although they don't sleep out in the steps. Mainstream media does kind of cover it. There is kind of commotion. Twitter is kind of, trending a lot of different topics around the subject. So the Joe Biden administration sort of feels the pressure. Then they kind of half-heartedly kind of agree to do this, I think a 60-day extension, which really just moves this same issue we're experiencing right now, 60 days from now, closer to the holidays. So I think, and it's just after pressure, and they claiming they've been doing everything they've been trying to do. Pelosi's passing a buck. So that's basically what has been happening that the video did not say. So let's go around the panel, and let's start with Sabrina, and then we'll go to JB. But I just want to get everybody's reaction of the events, of how, our government waited till this long and then kind of just give not really even a Band-Aid. Like, this 60-day extension is not really even a Band-Aid. It's less than a Band-Aid. So it's like putting ice and then that's it. You know what I'm saying? So what are your thoughts about it being 60 days? What are your thoughts about this whole theater that the Democrats are putting on? They run all of the government, but yet they're claiming like to be powerless and extending this. Like, what is your thoughts? And let's start with Sabrina.
Yeah, 60 days. Whoop-de-doo. If people don't have money to pay their rent right now, they're probably not going to have it in 60 days either. I think this is what they don't understand. The fact that they waited until they went on vacation, 6-week recess, and then decided to fight and push for this, it's laughable to me. They knew this day was coming. Why did they send everyone home knowing that millions of Americans were about to be evicted? So it's good that AOC and Cori Bush and other members of the squad decided to fight for this. But again, why did they wait until everyone went home and then decided to fight for it? And when they were asked that question, they were like, well, we planned on doing this. And then the next thing we knew, everybody was gone. But you knew this day was coming. So why would you wait that long and then say, okay, let's fight for it? So this is the problems that I have with the squad, is the tactics and the strategies that they use. They should have been fighting for this earlier on. So that's a problem that I have with this. The other issue is that it doesn't protect everybody. Some states and some cities are not covered by this. So you're still going to see people being evicted. The fact that people went home and went on vacation and all these people are about to be kicked out on the streets, that goes to show you how much politicians really care about us. They don't. They don't. And so for me, it's just like, I know people on Twitter were like, you guys need to give them credit because they're trying to fight for something. Look, they are doing something. They're standing up for. Yeah, but look at the way that they did it. I mean, it's ridiculous to me that you waited that long. They should have been fighting for this earlier on. And another thing that I want to add, if they were willing to fight this hard for this, where was this same fight for force the vote, for getting people healthcare in this country? Where was that same level of strategy? They had none.
What it has me think of that what you just said, I'm going to piggyback off that, is you ever been in a high school fight or about to be in a high school fight, or maybe saw a high school fight, and the two people aren't really doing anything when no one's around, but when somebody gets in front of them and holding them back, now I want to go after you. That's similarly to what you send everybody home, and then it's, oh, we want to fight. What? You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know that these people were going to be going home. You didn't know anything about this ending. Like, you know what I'm saying? So to me, it's all theater. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. That was my 2 cents. So let's go to JB. Same sort of question. What do you think about Democrats' theatrics? What do you think about what Cori Bush did? And another question I want to add to the mix is, do you think what Cori Bush did was actually effective? Or do you think, regardless of Cori Bush did what she did, the Joe Biden administration was feeling the pressure? JB.
Yeah. So as far as what the eviction moratorium is concerned, it is a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. Just I had this conversation with my mother this morning. Doing the eviction moratorium just kicks the can down the road. Okay. What should have been done months ago was Cori Bush and squad, because they're such good organizers, should have went out, slept on the Capitol steps and said, we will not move, and invited everybody they knew, got on social media, got on the national news and said, come out here to the Capitol, sleep on the steps of the Capitol with us, and we will not move until there is a rent cancellation and a mortgage cancellation, $2,500 checks per month until the end of this crisis. And also, you need to enact Social Security Act 1881A and give Medicare for all to everybody. We will not move until that happens. And then once they do that, then we will not move until that demand is met. Because here's the problem. You can do an eviction moratorium, and that's all fine and good. But let's say, hypothetically, that the pandemic ends next year. Well, all those people are still going to have all that back rent, all that money that they have to pay back. So they're still going to get evicted anyway. So what are you doing? You're just prolonging it. The thing is, you're treating the symptom and not the cause. And the problem is if you guys don't want people to get evicted, then cancel the rent and help pay people to stay home, and give them health care. But they don't want to do that because it's just the bare minimum. And so what Cori Bush did was basically the bare minimum. And she knows this. Let's not be stupid here. She knows this. And the fact that she did the bare minimum, it's like, come on, Cori, you've been homeless just like I have before. You know what it's like. So guess what? We need to actually build a foundation for people so that they can survive. Because when this pandemic is over, guess what? People are still going to get evicted. Then what? You're going to have an even bigger crisis on your hands. So, I mean, it's...
Hey, JB, I got a question for you. I got a follow-up question just off what you...
Sure.
Do you think these people, when I say these people, AOC, the Cori Bushes, do you think they really live in fear of retaliation? Is that why what's holding them back? Because if you just think back to these two people, when you're talking about activism before they were elected, they were pretty good at activism. So what has happened unless there's something else? So that's what I'm getting at. So JB, do you think there is a real fear, in particular from Nancy Pelosi, of retaliation, or of, if I do anything that draws too much attention, I'm not going to be able to get anything done? Do you think that is a reality?
In a way, yes. But they feel like they won't be able to get anything done because they will have support from the corporate Democrats. But here's the thing. They never had support from the corporate Democrats. That's the thing. And they need to realize where their real power lies. So, like I said on Comrade Misty's show last night, they messed up. And how did they mess up? They actually showed us that they can actually wield real power. That's what they showed us. Right. Because Cori Bush, even though it seemed very performative to a lot of us, it still got some action. So imagine if she did this weeks before and she included all those provisos that I said that she should have put in. Then guess what? Then it would have been, oh, snap, we got to do this. And the thing is that, if they didn't acquiesce to what the squad wanted, that I stated that they should do, then they would know that there would be pitchforks and torches at the door. So, I mean, it just seems silly to, be the type of person that just sits there and goes, "Oh well, you know, we gotta acquiesce to the corporate Democrats. They're the ones that have least popularity. Why are the ones that we acquiescing to them? They're not our boss. The people are our boss." And the thing is that they need to recognize that if they have our backs, we will have theirs. And the thing is, they're more scared of the corporate Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer than they are of us. And that needs to change.
And I think that last point you made is the point, that they are they fear Nancy Pelosi more than they fear us. And I think another reason to fear retaliation is because they are not acting as a unit. Because okay, you're gonna retaliate against the 7 progressive members? Really? Try to pass something, Nancy. You get what I'm saying? That's the reaction. Try to pass something, Nancy. I'll see you later. You get what I'm saying? It has to be that hard-nailed type of tactic. But if you don't have the stomach for that, you get what I'm saying? Like, I had a stomach for that. Yeah, I can sit next to a person that absolutely despises me and eat a bucket of chicken with no care. Like, I don't care. You get what I'm saying? But now everybody has that type of stomach. So let's go to Afeni. Same sort of question. Glad to see you made it on. Now, you have a more unique perspective because you've been on the ground. You've talked to Cori Bush. Actually, JB, could you cue up the video of Afeni? We'll play that right after she speaks so that we can see what I'm talking about. So you have a unique perspective where you have been on the ground, been in Washington, D.C. So you're sort of like the Fred Hampton Leftist Washington correspondent. So tell us from your perspective, even after speaking with her and the words that you two shared, what's your feeling about Cori Bush? But it's not only about her, but what's your feeling about the eviction moratorium and the Democrats' response?
Well, first I'll say that one of the first questions I had for Jamal Bowman, one of the first questions I had for AOC, one of the first questions I had for Cori Bush and Mondaire Jones when I saw them was, why did y'all wait so long? And why isn't the ask rent cancellation? And then all of them gave me the same exact answer about how basically rent cancellation was something that they had talked about like all the way in the beginning. But, you know, as time went on and like certain people, they realized that only Black people and brown people, the GOP realized that only Black and brown people would get rent cancellation and all these things, right? So I was like, okay. They all gave me the same answer. So I was like, all right. You know, I told them that I don't think that an eviction moratorium really makes sense because, you know, when people like Sabrina said, when people owe that money in 2 months, what are we doing? Like, why? Like, we should be canceling rent. And then their response to that was, oh, well, we have this pot of money that's been sitting, and they tried to end the rent moratorium before we could distribute it because a lot of states and city municipalities aren't doing a good job at distributing the money. You know, and my stance stays the same, that number one, the ask should have never been extending the moratorium. The fact that the ask was not immediately financial assistance, housing for all, because we have 17 million vacant homes in this country, and we have less unhoused people than that. So we can house everybody in these countries. So in this country. So how do we start breaking down private equity in housing? The ask should have immediately been rent cancellation. Like, it should have never started at eviction moratorium. If y'all were going to do this, if y'all were going to sit out on the stairs, if y'all were going to wait this long, the ask should have immediately been all the things I just listed, because the public would have been able to get behind that. And a little inside baseball from on the ground is they had no comm strategy. They had no comm strategy. And I don't know if that was, I mean, honestly, I know Kiara. I know her comms person. I don't think that was on purpose. Like, they literally just were not prepared for this. And I think that if you're going to do something like this, make sure that the asks are radical, because you know the Democratic Party is going to whittle you down. That's what they always do. The Democratic Party is going to whittle you down. So why would you start at the lowest point and then end up not even protecting everyone? 10% of people.
Buffini, did you get the impression when talking to them or whoever you spoke to? Did you like you get the sense when you're talking to somebody, like you can see it in their eyes, like the reaction. If you're paying attention, you can see it in their eyes. Like, did you feel when you're saying, why aren't you doing this? Or why can't it be this? Cancel rent. Do you see in their eyes a sense of like hopelessness, a sense of like, there's no way that's going to happen? It almost feels like they are, it seems like they're scared. And I'm just wondering, what are you afraid of? What has changed that when you put your hand on the Bible to be sworn in, that made it your fight different? I don't understand. So I'm trying to get from you and JB, and you in particular, because you were there, you saw them. What is their demeanor, their body language to these things? Is it a sense of like they've given up on trying to rent cancellation? You get what I'm saying? What are you the sense you're getting from them, Afeni?
So I had a very extensive conversation with AOC in particular about, I asked her verbatim, I said, so why do you protect a party and a power structure that consistently throws y'all and our principles and our policies under the bus whenever they feel like they have a dip in their polling? They automatically blame it on us. They automatically throw y'all under the bus. They let people drag y'all through the mud, and they do not defend you. But when it comes down to it, you are protecting them. I asked her, I said, you have not said Pelosi's name one time. She still didn't say Pelosi's name to me. But she did answer the question. She said, look, it was basically like, my first 2 years here, they tortured me psychologically. She was like, I did not want to run again, almost. And I was like, well, what's the game plan? How do we build power outside of the Democratic Party? What does it look like for us to be able to stand up and proudly be who we are and have our policies on Front Street? Because most of them are 60 to 70% approval rating nationally among constituents. So what's going on? How are we going to build power outside? How are we going to build power outside of the Democratic Party? And she basically told me that, and I agreed with this. I've said it before. She told me this, and I'll say it again. She basically told me that power like that starts in the street. We build those infrastructures outside of the government. Because in my understanding, before I spoke to her, just my 2 cents, the federal government is bought and paid for. The Democratic Party, every single time they run under the guise of the Democratic Party, they automatically lose any leverage they had to actually challenge the power that is the Democratic power and the Democratic Party and the power structure, because of the decorum, because of the respectability, because, we all have to look like we're on the same team. And at the end of the day, we're not on the same team. And I said that. I said, we don't agree. So so what are we doing here? Why are we consistently trying to force ourselves into a lane that we don't fit in? And, she basically said that we need to organize more on the ground and just talking about organizing stuff. And I do agree with that. But where I really wish I would have pushed back on her is to say well, y'all have platforms and y'all can organize mass amounts of people from those platforms. So it's just why not challenge the power structure from within? And it's very frustrating because, I believe in electoral politics to a certain extent, really on the local level. I feel like you can do way more in your local community, voting socialists and communists in your on the local level than you will ever be trying to fucking conform the Democratic Party to a socialist party. They are imperialistic. They are capitalist. They showed you time and time again that they are willing to give up the anti-racist shit if it benefits them. So at the end of the day, most of the things that you are saying that the Democratic Party is capable of, they've already shown you that they don't agree with that stuff. That's not who they are. So my personal, opinion is like, stop running under the Democratic Party. And if we're going to stop running under the Democratic Party, then we need to build infrastructures for our labor movements to move into the House, to move into the Senate. Because if we don't have that real community trust on the base level, then how the fuck are we going to expect to be able to change a system that has consistently shut down communism and socialism, or any type of real progress that they see globally, violently, over and over and over again? Like, I'm not saying that I agree with AOC. I'm not saying that they shouldn't do shit. I think they should do it. They should be doing a lot more. But they've already shown us over and over and over again that they will not protect us. So I'm just saying, and AOC also said, that we need to stop relying on saviors in politics to save us, period. Like, this is a capitalist, fucking white supremacist ass country. It will not stop being a capitalist, white supremacist ass country until we force it, period.
That is absolutely correct. And what's astonishing, there's two things I'm taking away from what you're saying. And the first is, they really feel powerless, or they really seem powerless and want to get the power from us. That's what they want. They want us to become a huge movement on our own, and then kind of step into, and that's where they're going to be able to say, I have all these millions of people behind us, Nancy Pelosi. Now I can say all the things I should have been saying already. It's just that if that's where our politics have gotten, that is terrible, because we need people elected speaking for us. That's what we need. And so, just to your point, Afeni, it may mean we're electing each other. The people in the movement are the ones that's running, and we're running. I don't have any problem running under the Democratic Party if you're running as the Tea Party left, where you're going in from the jump. You're saying, I'm going in to wreck shit up. You ain't doing none of that shit. I'm coming in to wreck the military budget, and you're getting elected on that. You get what I'm saying? Like, that would be, to me, different. We're going to bring Meg into this conversation. And the other thing, before I go to Meg, was torture. And this is what I was trying to get to with you, Afeni and JB, is that what happened to those 2 years when she describes as torture, mental torture? Like, what does she mean by that? And is that what happened to sort of transform her to what she is today? Is she getting less torture today? That would be my question. And if you're getting less torture, AOC, why do you believe you're getting less torture? Let's go to Meg. Meg, what are your thoughts on the eviction moratorium, on the Democrats and Joe Biden's response? Go ahead, JB. I'm sorry.
Just one thing. The video queued up for Afeni.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, let's do that so that Meg has a little more to comment on. Let's play the video of Afeni, and then we'll let Meg also include that in her comments.
Okay, perfect. I might have to do that again. Oh, sorry. Hang on.
No worries. So we're gonna play the video of Afeni. She was actually on the ground. So
I just want to add, like,
go ahead.
I have never, even before this, there are plenty of videos saying that if we want to get something done, we have to do it on our own. Mm-hmm. Because it takes real people power and people-powered movements to start labor movements, to form unions, to do things like that. This government has already showed us multiple times that they do not care. So why do we keep spending all of our money sending these people to Congress into a system that we know already wants to destroy us and our policies?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just, we have to get our policies by force. Period.
Period.
That's it.
Mhm.
Okay, JB, can you play that video, sir?
So
Yep, got it.
So when I talked to AOC, I'd asked her a bunch of different questions about like the organizing strategy on the ground, how we're actually going to get some of our progressive policies pushed through, considering that most of them are at 67% approval nationally. Like, what is the steps forward? And she had basically told me that, number one, she said that she was like, she might leave Congress and go be a grassroots organizer again because it doesn't really seem like much change might come out of here. Number two, I asked her like how she would feel about moving power to a third party and not moving within the party. And she said that it's a viable option, but politician answer, we can't do that because we don't want to piss off these folks.
And you said she brought up force the vote on her own.
Yeah, well, that was I think she mentioned that she has reviewed the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast, and then you mentioned that you have been critical of her, but even obviously here. So, but then she was talking about some of the criticisms of that being that it was like the day before, as well as something about the National Nurses Union not being on board with that. That was her explanation. Yeah, I mean there was a town hall like well before, as well as
I've heard that talking point before myself.
Yeah, no, she said something about the timeline because there was that force the vote protest that had come here the day before the speaker's vote. And she said that they didn't know anything about force the vote until before then. I do need to fact check the timeline, but I'm pretty sure that Justin Jackson and all of them were talking about that the day before.
Yeah, there was discussion on events.
Alrighty, so those were sort of that you, like I said, you're our DC correspondent. You were reporting just like a reporter right there. So great work there, Afeni. So let's bring in Meg, and then we'll go to Nick. So comment on what you want. This video. The main topic is the eviction moratorium, Joe Biden's reaction to Democrats' theatrics, and then Cori Bush's efforts. Do you think they were actually productive? Meg, what are your thoughts?
I mean, first of all, I'll just start by saying that, Afeni always bring the facts and fire right there. She is awesome. And I'm so glad that she was able to be on the ground and actually talk to AOC and Cori Bush and them and talk to Max Blumenthal like she did in that video. Because, that she brought a lot of bombs to drop. So I'm really excited about that. So to start off, I definitely, whenever this whole thing started, and, they've known about this for months. They've known that Congress had to act for a month. So there's no excuse for why this had to be done at the last minute. And, there's a lot of different narratives that they're going with. Like Cori Bush was saying that, they've been writing letters to the president and to the CDC for months now. Whereas some of them were saying like, oh no, we just found out about this yesterday. Pick what your lie is going to be and stick with it. Pick a narrative and just go along with it, because all these mixed messages are just kind of bullshit. Because this is what happened. Like, they just decided to wait to the last minute, and then after everyone is already gone, then go to the steps. It's like JB said, like, they could have been doing this weeks ago, months ago. And they could have been asking for more, and they should have been asking for more. Like, we keep on saying that, like, the whole purpose of the Justice Democrats was to go to Congress in order to be a left Tea Party. That was the whole purpose of Justice Democrats. Unfortunately, we picked a bunch of spineless nitwits. That's that's basically what it comes down to. They're all spineless.
Yes.
Like,
now, do you think the position, I'm asking you sort of the same question. Do you think the position is what made them spineless? Like, do you think something has happened now? I mean, I can understand, AOC, not understand, but AOC has been there longer. So she technically could have been receiving the torture longer in Cori Bush than Cori Bush. But what do you see as their hesitation? What do you see as why they're so spineless in comparison to where some of us thought they were before they got to office? Like, what do you see happening?
honestly, I don't even know. Like, if AOC is saying like she was being tortured or mentally tortured, then I mean the whole point of her being there was to fight back. So why not fight back against that torture? You know, you have access to like how many different news channels? Just say like, hey guys, come over here. I'm gonna hold a press conference. This is what's going on. Like, I mean, she had the guts to come out whenever she first got to office and say, you know, this is what they're having me do. Like, they have this whole list of different people that I have to call, and your position in the party, whether it's speakership or how, committee chairs, like all that stuff is dependent on how much money you raise. And she called that out. So why not call other things out as well? And I'm not saying that what Cori Bush did was bad in making this performance. And I think that people could have capitalized on it more and actually said, like, you know what? We're going to take this opportunity. And so move aside Cori Bush, but now we're here and we need to be fighting for more. And be demanding that, like, no, this is no longer about the eviction moratorium. We need to be asking for more. Because here's the thing is, you know, we keep on talking about the fact that this is just procrastination. They're kicking the can down the road. Because here's something that I've seen a few comments about this, about the fact that there is money set aside. The federal government did allocate $46 billion to rental aid. But here's the thing. NBC News contacted all 50 states and the District of Columbia about their emergency rental assistance programs. An analysis of responses from 41 states found that 26 of them had distributed less than 10% of their first allocations. Just their first allocations, because they got an allocation under the Trump administration and they got a second one under Biden. Some of those states have not received the money from the Trump administration. That's how far back the federal government is in getting that federal assistance out to tenants. That's how long this is taking.
Now, this is a question, it may be listed under conspiracy, but if the federal government is taking a long time to distribute the money, and the people who run the federal government are getting donations from the people who would benefit from them not distributing the money, what would you call that?
I mean, we can't forget that Miss Nancy Pelosi herself has money in real estate. That's where a lot of her money comes from, is real estate. So I definitely think that there's definitely a motivation to not get rental assistance out. And that way they can evict whoever the hell they want to and jack up the prices. That way they can try to get, recoup some of that money that they lost during the pandemic. And I think that's what a lot of this is about, that they not only want to recoup all that money that they lost, but also jack up the prices after they kick out people. And that way they can not only recoup what they lost, but also make additional profit. And honestly, that is just so sorry. I keep on seeing people commenting on my internet. Yes, I got new internet, guys. Thank you.
It's working wonderfully, I must say.
Thank you. No fuzzies. I'm so excited.
Yay.
All right.
So going on. Sorry, as I had to pick that up because I saw so many comments. Thank you. But just the fact that they have not gotten that rental assistance out, like, how much longer can we keep on pushing the can down the road when none of this money has gone out? Like, people are already getting kicked out of their homes because there are states that are not living up to the eviction moratorium. They're already kicking people out of their homes.
Yes, so, I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah. So
let's I'm sorry, Nate, go ahead. Man.
Yeah. But ultimately it's like, just cancel the fucking debt. Like, JB had it completely right. They screwed this up from the very beginning. Like, the way that this all should have gone is like what other nations like Canada and the UK and other countries in Europe were doing. And that's have a shutdown, have a proper shutdown, back up payrolls. That way no one got laid off. and give UBI. All those countries were giving $2,000 a month. That way people did not lose out on paying their bills, which means nobody would be behind on rent right now. And that's the problem. People are months and months and months and months behind on rent because they couldn't go to work. And so what exactly do you want them to do? Because right now, like you keep hearing people say like, oh, just get a job. It's like, what job? Like you want them to sacrifice their lives to capital? That's what you're basically asking, is to put their lives on the line for capital.
Right.
Go out and find a job. Like the whole point of this was to incentivize people to stay home so they didn't catch and spread the goddamn virus. That was the point.
And Meg, what job is going to pay them enough to pay all that back rent? It's just it's ridiculous. It's a completely capitalist mindset that I think. Now we're gonna bring Nick in. Nick, I usually like to leave you for last.
Or CJ, let me just ask this one question.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
What is the minimum wage? What's the minimum wage?
$7.25.
So you're absolutely right, CJ. How the fuck are you supposed to save up rent, months of back rent, on $7.25 an hour? How? Somebody tell me.
It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And if you're a tip worker, aka a slave legacy worker, you get paid even less than that. So that's great. And it's completely just disgusting. So let's bring in Nick. I usually like to leave Nick last because he's good at taking points from everybody before and kind of just explaining more. So I wanted him to hear everybody before he gives his thing. So Nick, what are your thoughts? Any and all of it? The video, the reaction, Cori Bush, everything, Joe Biden, Democrats. What's your thoughts?
This is why I'm super glad we got CJ back hosting these things, man. Like, because I love bouncing ideas off with all you brothers and sisters. So I'm glad to have CJ back. He kills the game. Cause I love the follow-up questions you ask and all this stuff. But now I stepped back, I listened, I learned. Now my turn. So I want people to get serious. Because what have our criticisms of the squad been thus far? That they have not been leveraging their power to get things done. Now, isn't it interesting that you got Sam Cedar calling us the dumb left when Cori Bush just proved us right? So what happened? Cori Bush showed at the Capitol and told them, y'all better extend this eviction moratorium. Because she is popular, because AOC is popular, because Bernie Sanders is popular, because we have a movement that has a message that is popular to the masses, people responded, and Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and the courts were put on the back foot. Now, what does this remind you of? Remember when we asked them to do the same thing about this in January? When we asked them to demand public pressure be put on demanding Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic? Oh, you know that policy that is supported by Republicans? Majority independents? 4 out of 5 Democrats? You don't want to have a discussion about that policy. So you see what they're saying? The Sam Cedars, the intellectually dishonest people, they were saying, oh, you guys are wrong. See, Cori Bush proved you wrong. On what basis? Because we said you can leverage your power. Your guys' arguments was the squad is weak and they can't do anything. Why would they show up to the Medicare for all marches when nothing would happen for if they show up? It's a waste of time. Remember, the argument was if you force the vote, that's a waste of time. Cori Bush just proved you wrong. So what I'm saying is, and now as a lefty, as a true lefty, as someone who's not looking to bootlick for politicians, you see people right now, oh my God, Cori Bush is so amazing. We got to give Cori Bush a lot of love. Why? Go get back to work. You know what they're doing right now? You know there are protesters at the Capitol that are getting arrested by the cops because people are still getting evicted. Why are you taking the victory lap? What the hell are you doing? They're taking a victory lap, taking photo shoots with Adam Schiff, The same guy who funded the military instead of bailing out homeless people. Have you guys read the eviction moratorium? Have you guys read it? $47 billion going to landlords. That is over 2 times more than what it costs to solve the homelessness crisis. Taking victory lap though. Bro, we haven't even got started yet. We didn't even get started yet. And now you got landlords, because I told you guys to look at this under the guise of the class war, right? We got landlords that are appealing to the courts to say they need to overturn the eviction moratorium. So the battle is not even over. And you guys are celebrating. Now, remember, the people who love the squad, they went back to brunch. They went back to brunch. Now, look, you're supposed to swear loyalty to the squad now because what Cori Bush has done. Why aren't you doing that regarding the other crisis, like healthcare? You got cops that are killing people, and then you got cops that have ARs that are forcing homeless people to be evicted from their tents. You guys not focused on that? You guys realize that's always been our argument, right? The fact that you should do what Cori Bush just did to put pressure on them for that. Why do you put pressure on them when they literally expanded the embargo in Cuba? When they literally gave an arms deal to Israel? When they were funding multiple genocides? They were bombing Africa. Why are you not doing it then? Do you not care about the African people? Do you not care about the Palestinian people? So you see how you got stopped? You guys see how the squad dragged you to the right? Because you were driven to the right because you're like, oh, this is good. This is good. Meanwhile, we, the actual serious people who Sam Cedar called a dumb left, we were like, bro, why can't we just keep going? And we was the one who was proven right by this, not them, because their argument was the squad and Cori Bush was ineffective and there was nothing that they can do to shift Joe Biden to the left. Because that's why they got mad when we said they should do that. They said, you're unrealistic. The dumb left is unrealistic for asking for Cori Bush and the squad to shut shit down. And then Cori Bush and the squad shut shit down, and then they're like, we was right. How does that make sense? CJ?
What is their logic, though, Nick? That's my question. What have you seen it? Like, what do they say their logic is, though? Like what are they saying?
I've been calling them out because I'm like, bro, you're not taking the victory lap for this. And then people who are deeply intellectually serious, they was like, oh, Nick flip-flop on this. Where was the flip-flop? My criticism was the squad wasn't doing this enough. And then they did it, and then it was effective.
Right.
And then
so why do you think, Nick? Why are they selective with this type of demonstration? Why do you think? Do you think they're afraid? Do you think they're getting tortured, fear? What do you think it is?
That's the golden question. That's the golden question, because what I've been asking people was the uncomfortable questions. So Joe Biden expanded the ICE budgets, and they are using human slave labor, and the conditions at ICE is so bad that you had ICE migrants that was going on hunger strikes, and then ICE literally committed a crime against humanity when they force-fed the people on hunger strikes. So that's a forced medical procedure on people under your detention. That's a war crime. That's what ICE did. They gave them more money. Why the squad not talking about that? And then they think we are unreasonable when we bring that up. I'm like, bro, so you don't care about the migrants no more? You was only immigration activist when the Republican was in charge. It's getting worse. It's getting worse under Joe Biden. So yeah, get back to work.
Yeah,
what are you guys celebrating?
I just don't understand what dynamics has changed for them to make them want to do these things more. So I know I seem like I'm asking a question, why are they doing this episode? But I'm genuinely trying to understand, because to all of us, this is obvious. If this worked, why aren't you doing this all the time? And I'm just wondering what is it that's keeping them? What is it about Nancy Pelosi that makes them so fearful? That's my question.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Sabrina, if you had a response, please jump in.
Yeah, so I want to speak to, like, when Afeni mentioned local politics. I can tell you guys, like, I can't speak for the rest of the members of the squad, but I can speak for Ayanna Pressley. And on the local level, she actually did a lot in Boston. I can tell you that we had a limit of liquor licenses in the city. And as you can imagine, the Black and brown communities were the ones that were at the disadvantage. Ayanna Pressley was actually the one that pushed Boston legislature to add additional licenses for the Black and brown communities, which she is a part of. She also pushed for schools to add in programs so that you can talk about sexual abuse, which she has talked about that with her experience as well. So you can talk about like child and parent like education. She had that implemented in the school system here in Boston. So locally, she is known for that. She's known for pushing. She's known for fighting back.
So Sabrina, do you
the
think what you're just describing kind of proves, because locally she was able to do this, when she gets elected federally, what suppression is happening? You get what I'm saying? What is happening? What is the difference? Continue. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No problem. No. So actually, the big difference is the fact that, and this is why I tell people, if you are going to run for, if you're going to participate in politics, the best thing to do is the local level. It's running for city council. City council controls the budget, you guys. That's an important thing. People like underrate it because it's not a top position, but they control the city budget. It's city council. It's running for mayor. Those are the positions where you're going to be able to make the most changes. And so what I am seeing is that now that she's in Congress, the powers that be, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, I don't know what they have said to the squad, but they have obviously intimidated them to the point where they have become more passive and they are not as vocal as they were before when they first entered Congress. And I can tell everybody here, if you pay attention, socialists are winning on the local level. Look at Shama Sawant. Look at India Walton. She just won in Buffalo, even though there's controversy over that. They're trying to change the position or something like that. Look at Lee Carter. Lee Carter won as a socialist. So this is why I'm telling you guys. And by the way, Virginia, the reason why marijuana is now legal or decriminalized in Virginia is because of Lee Carter's bill. That came from him. Now they took things out of it, but it took a socialist to come in and make that happen. And that's why I tell people that forget this whole let's run for Congress, let's run for Senate. If you really want to make and create change, do it on the local level. But I think they are seriously being intimidated here. Look, Nancy Pelosi quickly took those committees away from AOC that she was supposed to put her on. So if that was going to happen anyway, they should have just forced the vote. What
do you think, and I'll pose this question to everybody, not just to Sabrina, do you think is the trade-off for committee assignments worth kowtowing to the Democrats and Pelosi? You know what I mean? Like, if it's getting on that committee that important to getting whatever you want done? I'll let Nick respond, then Meg, then JB.
I've been criticizing their strategy because they are delusional because they think they can out Nancy Pelosi. Why are you guys playing the game on their terms? We'll talk about this later, but this is why Nina Turner lost. She hired Jeffrey Weaver. Mr. A, we're the progressive army, but we're going to run like neoliberals to try and win the neoliberals over, even though the neoliberals have more money than we do. How does that make sense? I'm just asking you guys to make sense out of your strategies. That doesn't make sense. So that's what they do. They hire DNC operatives. When AOC got in office, she was elected because she had radical socialists like Apollo, who you talked to yesterday, who was on her campaign. She got in office. All of a sudden, she got DNC insiders. And then now, what they did, they shifted what it means to be a socialist to the right. So now people are like, oh, my God, even though people were being evicted, people are happy with the fact that people were being evicted, but they're like, they moved the moratorium back 60 days. Let's just keep doing that. It's while people are getting evicted, while the cops are cracking heads of protesters right now because Cori Bush abandoned them. She left. They're doing that right now, and they're not allowing the people to come back because they're like, all right, Cori Bush and AOC can have their little theater and their performance. I'll pass it right to you, Meg. But I want A1 to understand this, and I want to set this straight. You guys understand that all action is performative in theater, right? Marches are performative in theater, but it's performative in theater that is designed to implement change. That's why when we have Medicare for All marches, these same people who praising Cori Bush like, oh my God, you guys are being performative. That's the point. Activism is performative. That is what the Black Panthers taught you. Do you read that? Clowns. Like that's all. I never had criticism for Cori Bush doing that. Our criticism came from the left. Why aren't you asking for more? Why aren't you doing for more things? You see how they cut themselves off? Only as far left as the squad allows them to go. That's their job. So they're not being ineffective. They're doing their job perfectly. They're dragging people to the Democratic Party, and they're stopping them from going farther to the left. Back to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, you can pick right up. Go ahead.
I just want to respond to the comment here. Ayana's district went to Biden too. Yes. And the reason why that happened is because Joe Biden came here to her district. He met with Marty Walsh. Marty Walsh took him all around the city. He went and spoke with people in the district. Bernie did not. And this was another thing I felt where Bernie kind of failed. He came to Boston and had a rally at Boston Common, but he did not reach out to those groups, those underserved, those underprivileged groups here in Boston the way that Biden did. And that really made a difference.
Okay, let's I'm gonna cut in a regular schedule, and we want to get Afeni her opportunity to kind of give her last words. The same topic, or if she wants to add anything else, she has to take off for a meeting. So Afeni, the floor is yours. If you want to kind of stay on this topic, or if you just want to comment on something else, the floor is yours.
I just want to say this, like, you know, I'm an organizer with the podcast, y'all. So a lot of my experiences, a lot of the ways that I speak, a lot of the ways that I think is because I do mutual aid. I organize. I'm in the streets. I protest. I've cussed out many a cop. You see what I'm saying? So when I say that we need to be building infrastructures for mutual aid, I really mean that. When I say that we need to start investing in our own worker co-op businesses, I really mean that, because it's my principle to detach myself from capitalism in this system as much as I can and to stop participating in it, because that is a level of escalation that we need to get to. We need to get to the point where we're just simply not participating. We are literally striking in this country because we have built that community trust. But we have to build that community trust first. If we want to have a viable third party that is not going to be immediately destroyed by everything the Democratic Party throws at them, it's going to take a strong community trust, not only for that leader, but within the community and all the community members. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so I'm not saying that we should not be trying to do more in Congress. We absolutely should. But we need to do more in our local communities. We need to do more to change what is materially within our reach. And what's materially in our reach is local elections. What's materially in our reach is donating to mutual aid funds. What is materially in our reach is donating to food banks, making sure that you're dropping off baby clothes to some of these churches, because a lot of these young moms out here need stuff like that. That is what it looks like when community takes care of each other. We cannot rely on people that are not in our class to stand in solidarity with us, period. And as soon as people get elected to Congress and make that $183,000 a year, get that health care and all those benefits, they are no longer in our class. So we have to have class solidarity first, period. Anti-racist class solidarity first. And that is what I advocate for. So I understand that a lot of the things that I said probably pissed a lot of people off. I meant what I said. I said what I said because I'm a communist. I don't believe there should be a state anyway. There should be no privatization anyway. So what are we really talking about here? Honestly, at the end of the day, other than donate to mutual aid, period.
Yeah. Just to kind of piggyback on her point, I think it was a discussion I was having with Nick. I forget what show it was on, but we were talking about that. Like, we really just need to just have where our life is really government free. Like, we're just operating together, everything. And like, really, you're just kind of like a fly. The government is kind of like, watch out, man. I'm living. You know what I mean? Like, that's really the level that I'm hearing from Afeni. But I just remember talking to Nick, having that sort of similar conversation when we were talking about, it was about mutual aid we were talking about. And it was like, like the structure has to be stronger. Maybe we have to stop looking to them to change their corruption and then just say, y'all go be corrupt with somebody else's money, and we're going to go over here and start establishing our own thing. And we're just going to siphon that money from you into our system, whatever we're doing, whatever sort of mutual aid that we're doing. I'm going to pass it back to Afeni. I see her shaking her head. What are your thoughts on all of that?
I mean, absolutely. I agree. I'm just saying, like, I agree with everything that you're saying. Like, I understand, like, why people will be disappointed in everything that the squad has going on. I understand that we want more from this government, but I can tell y'all from being on the ground, they genuinely feel like this shit was a win. Not only do they feel like it was a win because, number one, the Senate Majority Leader came to them. Chuck Schumer came to them. So in Corey's mind, this was a power move for her. Like, she really feels like in Congress, she just did some shit. And for us, that does not materially better our lives. And that's just the reality situation. So, like, I'm just saying, like, be disappointed, shit on them, criticize them, do all that shit. If you want to cuss them out every time you see them, that's what you decide to do. That's your First Amendment right to do that. Period. You pay them. But understand that, you know, the federal government is bought and paid for. The federal government has already showed us that they will literally kill people. They will kill people before they give us our liberation. So America, before she condemns herself, will have to destroy itself first. This is not going to be a pretty process, y'all. Period.
I think we need to change our expectations because we're expecting racist oppressors not to have a police state that's brutal. Like that's not that's not going to happen. I mean, there wouldn't be called a racist oppressor, like if that was the case. So I'm going to give the opportunity for anyone else to say anything about this topic because we're going to move on to the next topic. So I'll just leave the floor open. Afeni's going to be taken off. Everybody say bye to Afeni. We love Afeni.
Hi, y'all. Go follow my grassroots org at Freedom Fighters DC on Instagram. And
say
donate.
that again. Say it louder so we can hear it.
Follow my grassroots org at Freedom Fighters DC on Instagram and make sure you donate. It's at FFDC 2020 on Twitter. Open your wallets, white people. We mean it. Bye, y'all.
All right, Afeni.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Nick, go ahead.
I'll say, if you guys don't mind, and well, you guys just heard on that one. I'm glad Afeni jumped on because that's exactly how you push politicians. That's exactly how you're supposed to treat politicians instead of just being desperate to praise them. Now, if you guys think I am being unrealistic, if you guys think I'm being harsh, if you guys think Afeni was being too harsh, I want to share you guys something. I want to share you guys this real quick to highlight exactly why we are justified in continuing and criticizing them despite this victory, which I like. Once again, I'm intellectually honest. I will call this a victory. I just don't think it's enough. I think that's intellectually honest. Now, this is what Max Blumenthal tweeted out last night. It's not over at the U.S. Capitol. You have housing activists that was there that are being removed by the Capitol PD from the steps because they're saying, why are you guys stopping even though people are still being evicted? So I wanted to highlight this because that's what I was talking about earlier. Get back to work. I'm not even being that unreasonable because if you want to have a night out, if you want to have a dinner, if you want to have a steak meal because what you did, that's fine. Like, go ahead. You make a lot of money. You can afford it. Go have a steak meal. Drink some wine. Celebrate your victory, and then get back to work. People are still getting evicted. We got crimes against humanity that's still going on right now, and that's the final thought I want you guys to know. And I just want to show that because that is what I was referring to earlier.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think everybody that kind of just makes the point, though. The video, thanks for showing that. It's like if you think a 60-day extension of not even everybody is the finish line, okay, but yeah, he's basically saying like this is just to get us to the next battle. Really, that's really what it is. It's just to get us to the next, so we can take a breath, so we can fight some more. That's really all this 2 month extension is. So what we're going to do is move to the next topic. JB, if you could cue up video 3, actually. Let's start with the Nina Turner story, just in case we don't have enough time to get to, because some of our discussions have been very in-depth. So let's go to video 3. We're going to go ahead now and switch the topic to Nina Turner. So Nina Turner had a special election in Ohio District 11. And I'll let Sabrina, can you kind of just lay the groundwork, the foundation, and just kind of explain because the video is after, like she's talking about the dirty money, but can you just kind of set the groundwork for what we're about to show, Sabrina? Did she take off?
I haven't seen this video.
Oh, not the video, but I mean like, so let me see if I can do it. There's a special election for Nina Turner, and I think Chantel Brown, and
To replace Marsha Fudge.
right,
Yeah.
to replace Marsha Fudge's seat. So this is a special election. It's actually, the term is not even going to be that long. It's actually in 10 months, they're going to be another special election that's going to be coming up. And Nina Turner was up by a lot, I think over 30 points at one point, and then she ended up losing. And what the video is going to talk about is her in her own words talking about why she thinks she lost, and specifically about dark money. So that kind of just sets up the video. There you go.
You waiting on me or you playing the video?
No. I had to look at something on my phone first. So JB, if you could start that video, sir. Sorry about that, guys.
One question. Let me ask you, Nina. How do progressives combat what you call the evil money for next time? Because you were up considerably, and then you had nearly $2 million came in from out of state. How can a progressive combat that going forward to not be smeared out of the race?
I want progressives to be very resolute, and I want us to keep on running because we are winning. I raised $6 million in this race. I was outperforming every other candidate in this race until that dark money came in, and I've raised more money individually. I think my race is a template for progressives in terms of how we raise that money. We got to get in, earlier. Not necessarily early. This is a special election. We just got to plan a little more. This is not an indictment on our movement. This is an indictment on dark money. Progressives shouldn't feel bad, because until that evil money came in here, 35 points up, the only way they could have won is for dark money to come in here. We need real campaign finance reform in this country. It is a disservice to the voters to have special dark interests come in here and dictate who gets to win. If we let them win here, they're going to keep doing this kind of stuff all over the country. And so I am more committed to ensuring that that does not happen. So I'm going to work. I can't give it all away tonight, but Jordan, you will know what Sister Turner has in store.
2022 Senate, 2022 Senate. Portman's retired.
I know Senator Portman is retiring. I'm not ruling out anything, but one thing I will tell you is I am going to work very hard to make sure that this does not happen to progressives, or at least if it happens to progressives, I want to make sure that they have more than a fighting chance to be able to win. Part of it is getting good money in early to help the progressive that's being attacked. That's what it is. There's money used for evil, and they made it very clear from the beginning of this race that it was going to be anybody but Nina, and they meant that. And is that
all right? So that was Nina Turner in
everybody
her.
can see 13
Oh,
candidates
thought
in the
that was
race,
it.
and I'm the only one that gets attacked. The only one. Other things were said too. One candidate in this race had a red box up. One, inviting that money in. So what I learned, there's several lessons that I learned from this race. One of them is when you have progressives running, good money has to come in to help them very, very early. I ran a very policy-driven race for a very long time, and I didn't start contrasting records until later in the race. So maybe that's a lesson. Maybe that's a lesson, because I wanted to run a very
excuse me. So that was Nina Turner in her own words. So I'm going to go around the table, get everybody's reaction. I mean, this is a lot to unpack. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of questions and different topics just around this particular election. So I know there's a lot for everybody to kind of address. But what things that stand out to me in what she said here was campaign finance reform. It's like the ridiculousness of trying to make a dirty system like a duopoly better by reforming their campaign financing. It's like, it's just, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't really, okay, what does that do? I mean, it's just, to me, it's not, it doesn't really fix, it papers over the problem. And then when we're talking about dark money, why does dark money automatically mean you're going to lose? Because dark money came in against AOC, she won. Dark money came in against Ilhan Omar, she won. I mean, I think they were outspent. I think both of them were outspent. So I don't think necessarily that means that, unless you're saying that no matter what, propaganda works. And I'm going to leave with this last part. What this also illustrates is that the ruling class understands that propaganda works. This is the reason why you flood a market with ads, lying, distorting the truth. This is why you do it, because you know it works. So anybody who says, what do you mean propaganda, blah, 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 there's no reason for a company or a business to flood a market with TV ads unless the TV ads work, right? So just that concept. So now you don't have to comment on anything that I'm saying. I'm going to go to Meg first, then Sabrina, and then JB. But whatever you want to comment on about the Nina Turner race, I know there's a lot to comment on from some leftists just feeling like maybe they don't really care that she lost. Some leftists feeling like she should have ran, not as a Democrat. Some leftists just feeling like some of her campaign was flawed. Any and all of it you want to comment on, Meg, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the first thing that I'll start with is, I was listening to Brianna Joy Gray, and, she's from that area. She's friends with Nina Turner. So kind of listening to what she was saying about it was that we have to, first off, we have to understand that this district that Nina was running in was not a Bernie district. This was a Biden district. Biden won that district by a lot. And it's also a area that has one of the richest areas of all of Ohio. And one of that area, as Brianna Joy Gray mentioned, is, very affluent and white. And that's the part of the district that they really mobilized. That Chantel Brown's campaign really mobilized in order to get out to vote. And they're the ones who are going to be more likely to vote too. So that's definitely one aspect of it that we need to be looking at, is that the district that Nina was running in was not a district that was going to be beneficial to her out of the gate, even though she was ahead in the polls because of her name recognition. But that made her an easy target as well, because, there, as she said, anyone but Nina, and it's the same as anyone but Bernie. And that's the narrative we're going to have to constantly fight. And they blanketed not only the airways with smears against Nina Turner, they had billboards against her, talking about the fact that Biden is a half a bowl of shit, which I still agree with, because he is still half a bowl of shit. And like, she showed a picture of all these mailers that her grandmother received. Like, there was mailer after mailer after mailer from Chantel Brown's campaign just smearing Nina. So when you have all of this stuff going on, and as much money as Nina raised, maybe she was right. Maybe she didn't, compare their records early enough. There's a lot of things that you can complain about when it comes to Nina's campaign. And I want to pick up something that Afeni said, and that Sabby said as well, in regards to, because I think it does kind of fit into this conversation on Nina Turner as well, is that we do need to be organizing more locally, because, we need to have organizations on the ground that not only are doing mutual aid, getting local people elected, local people who can also, be the ones to endorse these candidates that are running for Congress, because, all these things are, intersectional, guys. And one of the things that we can't, like, this is the thing that, we talk a lot about, like, not believing in electoralism anymore, is that I don't want to cede ground to anyone. Because guess what? If we cede ground to liberals and to Republicans, then all they're going to do is continue to fucking ruin our lives. 100%. Because we can't, like, as much as, I love what whole Washington is doing in Washington, you trying to fight for, state by state Medicare for all. But we have to be realistic that there are some things that only the federal government can do. And only they can pass, full on, election reform. Only they can, pass legislation that's going to really combat climate change. We have to be doing this on all levels. We can't just do it locally. We can do a lot locally, don't get me wrong. But there's only so much that we can, particularly as, like, income inequality continues to become rampant. Like, we are funding grassroots campaigns. We don't have a lot of money. They do. And so that is always going to be a challenge. And they're never going to cede anything without demand. And so,
Absolutely.
I mean, and we can't let what happened to Nina Turner really get us down. Because, this seat's coming right back up next year.
Mm-hmm.
She can run again then. She can run for Senate. There are plenty of opportunities. Chantel Brown doesn't have to be sitting in that seat for very long. We can definitely put someone up. Nina Turner can run against Chantel Brown and do a little bit more the next time. And not only that, because Chantel Brown will then have a record in Congress for what she's doing, Nina would be able to run on that record against her. Like, oh, you've been in Congress for 10 months. You've been in Congress for 10 months. What have you done with all that time? What have you done with all that time? You didn't do jack shit. So guess what? I'm going to run again to replace you. You haven't done anything with the time that they had. Oh, but it's not enough time. Well, guess what? There were bills. There were things that she could have done. So run against her again. Keep doing it. I don't care. Because I don't want to cede any ground to them. None whatsoever. And so, I mean, I guess that's where I'll kind of... Oh, because now my dogs are barking. So go ahead and...
Right on cue, they came in. They said, "Mommy,
Exactly.
that's it for you. You need to give us some attention." So we're gonna go to Sabrina. And I apologize. I wasn't looking up. I didn't know you had shut off your screen when I said, "Hey, can you explain that?" Because I was looking down and I didn't know until I looked up. And I was, oh, she wasn't there. I shouldn't have called on her. But anyway, we're here. What do you think, Sabrina? I am actually pretty curious to hear what you have to say in particular about the results of this race, and why do you believe Nina Turner, how do you believe dark money is that powerful to go, a 35-point switch in a race? And actually more than that, because she was up by 35 before and she lost by more than 1 point. So it's actually more than 35 points a swing. So why do you think that is? And anything else you want to comment about this? Because I know there's a big discussion online. So if you want to throw some of that in there too, the floor is yours, Sabrina.
Yeah, so I see some of the same mistakes with this race that happened in South Carolina with Bernie and Biden. And in reference to dark money, that's not anything that's new. We know this is a problem for people that run grassroots campaigns. We know the money issue is always going to be problematic. So we knew that was going to be a challenge to overcome. Now, here's where I feel like the strategy was not well. And let me get into what I say about that. All they did, the established Democrats, they did the exact same thing. All they did was they were like, let us repeat what we did in South Carolina with Bernie and Biden and do that in Ohio. So let me walk you through that. Bernie Sanders was the most popular candidate that was running for president for the Democratic Party. He was the most popular. Nina Turner is very popular, but sometimes the person that's most popular doesn't necessarily win. And let me tell you what they did. So, mistake number one, Bernie Sanders did not ask Clyburn for his endorsement. Joe Biden did. I listened to Clyburn the other day. He said, Chantel Brown came to me and asked me for my endorsement. Now, whether you like Jim Clyburn or not, and I'm not a fan of Jim Clyburn. I just want to make that very clear. That matters. That's important. So Chantel Brown getting Jim Clyburn's endorsement, just like Joe Biden getting Clyburn's endorsement, that says a lot, especially for the people that are part of the Congressional Black Caucus. So he endorsed her. The CBC endorsed her, and I'm not a fan of them either. So that was a plus that she had for her. This is besides the dark money. We got to talk about the other things that happened. So that was a plus for her. Now, that matters. The other strategy that they did is that they pulled out the affluent white voters for Shontel Brown. They did that same thing in South Carolina. They brought out the affluent white voters to come out for Joe Biden. So as a progressive candidate, you already know you're already going to have the money obstacle in front of you. You may not be able to overcome that. But AOC and Ilhan Omar and Jamal Bowman, they did. How did they do it? They brought out the non-voters. You have to bring out the people who usually don't vote. When you go and canvass and knock on doors, you can't just knock on the doors that are going to be pro, Nina Turner. You have to knock on all of those doors. Nick knows. This is how you get people to come out. So one thing that AOC did very well for her first campaign, she knocked on all those doors. She particularly went after people who don't come out and vote, and she brought them to come out and vote. So these are some of the things that I felt like they could have controlled, they could have prevented. The money thing, the dark money, that's always going to be a problem. Attack ads. Believe it or not, attack ads actually work. Jen Perlman talked about this when she was running against Debbie Weiserman. People actually believe that stuff that they see on those TV ads. So I believe Nina's campaign did start running attack ads later on, but I think that should have happened much earlier. And yes, I know a lot of people don't want to get dirty like that, but that's the nature of the game. And you basically gave, like, for Shontel Brown to be behind, that far behind, and then to come back, you have to understand there were other things, other factors at play. Hillary Clinton endorsed her, which I didn't consider that a pro, but I guess the white community in Ohio.
Right, I was going to say that.
There you go. They probably did. And then you had Clyburn, and then you had the CBC, and then of course you had the money, the dark money that came in and stuff like that. But there were things I feel like that could have been done to change that. But the other factor, which is more broad, dude, Ohio is not a blue state. Ohio is a red state. And I was talking to Misty. Misty will be on Friday about this because she lives in Ohio. Misty said even some of the areas that are blue in Ohio, they're not like a Bernie blue. So that in itself is going to be a challenge for you. So I do see similarities between what happened in South Carolina and what happened here in Ohio.
Yeah. Now that I think that kind of, for some people, I know for me, a lot of what you said, I was not aware of as far as the dynamics on the ground in this area. I think you and Meg kind of addressed both of those areas. So I was not aware of that. But that to me does bring into focus your strategy then, just like what you were talking about, Sabrina. What is your strategy? Because all of the dynamics, if you're saying Joe Biden won this and Hillary Clinton endorsed this and she got Jim Clyburn, then what's the strategy in this area? Because they're going to try to bring out the white suburban class. They're going to try to bring them out. What are you going to do? So it's really probably what lost her this race or made it. Yeah, what lost her this race is probably the lack of strategy or the strategy that she may have had. But let's bring in JB.
Hey, CJ, can I just say something?
Yeah,
really
go ahead.
Is that's not to say that it's not impossible, because we know that Ohio does have a more populist senator in Sherrod Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not impossible so that you can run on a populist message and win. You absolutely can. It's just, it depends on where you are running, obviously, considering Sherrod Brown won statewide. So
now,
not just in a Biden blue district, but also we have to, let me just make this one other point.
No, go ahead.
All these Sam Cedarites and TYTites who are blaming leftists for Nina Turner's loss, go fuck yourselves.
Wow, that's something I had not heard. So can you kind of give a little bit more detail, like, and specifically, is it something Sam Cedar said that you can say on here that he said, or kind of summarize?
Well, more specifically, it wasn't Sam, but Emma Vigland.
Okay.
and Mike Figueredo, who were coming
I just
out
want to add in.
blaming
Sorry, I
leftists.
just
Yeah,
want
go
to add
ahead.
in.
Go ahead, Nick.
Sorry, Mac, continue. But I just want to add, Sam Cedar actually did put out a video
Uh-huh.
where he was calling out the dumb left. But go ahead, Meg. I just want to add that part. So once again,
Wow.
it's their elitism. I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah,
but
we're getting to that. We're getting to all of it. Yes.
I want Meg to finish.
Yeah.
Just want to put in. Thank you for the super chat, Roger Meadows. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now go ahead,
Thank you,
Meg. Go
Roger.
ahead. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Meg.
No, you're cool. But yeah, I mean, Emma Vigeland, for instance, called out the People's Party, who were supporting Nina Turner. Nina Turner spoke at their People's Convention, along with Cornel West, who in Cornel West supported Nina Turner. They spoke at the People's Convention. The People's Party supported Nina Turner, and yet Emma Vigeland, in all of her uninformed glory, turned around and blamed the People's Party for not supporting her for why Nina Turner lost. And they're continuing to blame leftists for not donating to Nina Turner, for having nihilism about electoral politics, blaming them for why Nina Turner lost, which we just laid out all the other dynamics that were at play. This was not leftist fault. And so I will say it again. Fuck you for saying that.
Her reaction is very reminiscent of the Hillary Clintonites that in their reaction when they lost. It's very like, you lost the election because you're bad, and now you're trying to blame Bernie bros because you're saying we didn't come out. Like, you freaking suck as a politician. Like, you know what I mean? But there's a super chat there that you wanted to address, JB, or let me see if I can see this. Oh, Chantel Brown, Republican opponent, is the wife of the late retired Marine. There's a good chance Chantel Brown could lose the general election. Wow, if they play that up, I guess they could. So great point.
I appreciate the super chat. I just got put back a little bit. I'm not sure about that because Hillary Clinton won by plus 30. I'm not saying that. Obviously, there's nothing to say about Chantel Brown, and I appreciate you bringing that point. We see who's right. Thank you for the super chat, though. I just want to add my perspective on that.
And
we got to keep in mind that Hillary Clinton did win by 30. So
that's what I was saying. She did win the popular vote. That is something we got to be honest about. But let's bring in JB. JB, when you start to doing that, I know you got something ready for us. What do you think about everything Chantel Brown, Nina Turner, about her strategy, about dark money? What is your thoughts on all of this?
Like Deep Moody Purple Blue said, I'm surprised they didn't blame Russia yet. So look, was there dark money? Absolutely. Should they have expected dark money? Yes. Was the election probably fair? Probably not, because anybody to the left of anybody to the left of Nancy Pelosi is considered a danger. So of course they didn't want Nina, even though Nina, for a lot of us, was like, meh. For them, they were like, no, we don't want Nina. So because of that, that should have been expected. Also, Nina, she did a couple things that kind of took the wind out of the sails of the left. If she had punched stronger, just like we wanted Bernie to, then a lot of us on the left probably would have been more behind her. You also got to take into account that she ran as a Democrat. Now, there are some people who say, well, you can't do anything outside the Democratic Party because it's not going to be, fruitful, blah, blah, blah. I mean, okay. But she could have been stronger. And I never ran before, but from one thing I've learned from people who have ran is that you need to run as if you're behind. Do not, I know as soon as they first started, they had 30 points ahead, which is fine. I mean, if you're 30 points ahead, that's cool. But you needed to run as if you were 15 points behind as soon as you started. And as soon as Chantel Brown came in, you should have looked at her and studied her record. And if you would have saw that she's just a black Hillary Clinton, boom, you got her. Got her. Because that's what Chantel Brown is. She's a black Hillary Clinton. So you could have just said, you know what, look, this is her record. And then you also could have went the direction of look, she is, going to be another NAFTA queen, another TPP queen. You're going to lose your jobs. And she could have did something like that. She could have hammered really hard at that. But unfortunately, also you got to take into account the people that she's around.
I got a follow-up question for you, JB. A follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
And it's to piggyback off the point you made initially, and that is progressives that run as Democrats have to walk this tightrope.
Yeah.
Because if you said she kind of did things that pissed off the left, but those things that pissed off the left may have made her more appealing to some of the people in the district that she was running. But if she tries to do things to appease the quote unquote left, then that'll turn off. So this is an inherent problem you're always going to have running in this party.
Yeah.
It's because you can't be yourself, because being yourself means you're going to turn off the average, liberal suburban voter. So what do you think about that, JB? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, okay, so look at it this way. If she would have put more wind in the sails of people on the left, there's plenty of people that if they would have been more energized, a lot more people would have went down there, and then she could have knocked on every single door and got even the people who disagree with her. They could have probably turned them around. But the thing is that did they actually do that? Did they have enough of the ground game to do that? And the problem is that if they didn't have enough ground game to do that, it's probably because there wasn't enough people that were energized to do it. Because I'm going to tell you anecdotally from my point of view, when Nina started running, I said, I'm not saying a word. I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to watch. And I sat back and I observed. And as soon as she started saying some things that started to drift from the left, I was like, this is why I didn't say anything. And if you look at my Twitter history, you'll notice that I barely said a word about Nina. I didn't barely start speaking about Nina until maybe about a week and a half ago. Maybe. I haven't spoken a word because I was watching. And the thing is that I saw and I was like, she's not doing good. And I'm going to put it to you right now. Last week, Rome said she was going to lose. Last week, he called that. He called it. He said, you know why? Because he said, the people down there, they're not down for that. And the thing is, he said, unless you actually push and go firebrand, scorched earth, and she didn't go scorched earth. I said this last election cycle for Bernie. I even put out a tweet. I said, shouldn't Bernie go scorched earth? People were in the comments going, oh, no, Bernie shouldn't go scorched earth because he has to build coalition, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my
Next
God.
thing you know, what happened when he didn't go scorched earth? I mean, come on now. Because here's the thing. They will never accept you, but the people will. And the thing is that you have to make it so obvious that the people will accept you that either, one, they have no choice but to say, fuck, we can't beat this person, so we're just going to have to elect them. Or number two, then they're going to have to rig it. But then if you rig it, it's going to be so obvious that it's rigged that people are going to revolt. And they'll have pitchforks and torches at the door. But the thing is that you have to push so damn hard. Look, to be 10, 15 points ahead is not enough in a Democratic election. You need to be 20, 30, 40, 50 points ahead. You have to blow them out of the water so that everybody sees how bad the Democratic Party is. Because even if you lose, people will walk away saying, screw the Democratic Party, I'm done with them. But being just a couple of points ahead ain't nothing. If you're 15 points ahead, you lost. You lost.
And we can see that. I mean, that's exactly what happened to her. We do have a super chat. I saw the other one, but it's already down. This one says one would think Nina would have learned from Bernie. Yeah, one would have. Did anybody see the previous one that was up? I didn't get to read it.
Did I do this already? Also had Mr. Griffin himself, Jeff Weaver, in her campaign, who I think sabotaged her. Time for grassroots campaign staff and government.
Can I take it here? Do you guys mind? I think.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Time for me to bring the sledgehammer out.
Go ahead, Nick.
I'll let you guys go. Now time to get real. So, all right, I missed a super chat, but I think it's relevant to what I'm about to talk about. Because we were just talking about Cedar and the majority report having the audacity to claim the activists are the dumb left, right? Now, this is relevant to the topic at hand because we're talking about Nina Turner, right? Now, social democrats, the leftist best crowd, the Sam Cedar crowd, you guys got some explaining to do. Guess what faction of the left was arguing that we can take over the Democratic Party? Bernie Sanders, just like Sabrina accurately pointed out, Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner are the two most popular progressives. Nina Turner is the biggest non-elected progressive name. And once again, these people are acting like children, intellectually weak children, to be honest. This is why I be calling these U.S. leftists out. Because they were like, oh, our excuse. By the way, they're making a ton of excuses because they don't want to take accountability because we talking about Jeff Weaver. Because these people want to maintain their job. They don't give a fuck. We already cussed already, so fuck it. They don't give a fuck about you. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you they don't give a fuck about you. So Jeff Weaver and all of them making excuses about why Nina lost because he's trying to maintain his career. He lost this twice. How the fuck is he getting hired? Bro, it's a fucking club and you're not in it. And that includes the progressives. That includes the Justice Democrats. Why did you think they didn't march with you? They think you are deplorable. We didn't want to march with the activists, the disabled activists, the doctors, the teachers unions. We didn't want to march with them because that's risky. They are deplorables. They're the dumb left. You realize that they are set Sam Cedar's position, right? Sam Cedar is in lockstep with the Justice Democrats. And they're the one who's losing. They're following your direction, and you're losing. Hey, I'm gonna share this real quick. You guys give me plenty of time to find some stuff.
Okay. Thanks to Natalie Williams for your super chat. I just want to thank you.
Let me I'll just comment on this because I was talking shit. This is what the dumb left look like, guys. You see this?
Thanks to Colin for the super chat.
You guys ready? You guys see this?
Is there a way you can make it a slightly bigger, Nick? Maybe a tad, not too big, but slightly bigger.
Let me click it.
There we go. Yeah.
So it a little more. Emma Vigeland from the Majority Report, and Sam Cedar came out with a video criticizing the dumb left on the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life. But this is the dumb left. This is what the dumb left look like. This is about Andrew Cuomo. There's no denying it. Andrew Cuomo has done a very good job. Look at the date. We already knew Cuomo was a scumbag. We already knew he killed thousands of elderly people. And then she said he should be the nominee. Who listens to this garbage? And people wonder why Jimmy Dore called her out for having rich parents. They were like, that's a low blow. No, it's not. That's relevant. Her parents are DNC donors. And she's yelling at us because we're not donating to the DNC. We're not donating to the squad, even though they fund corporate Democrats. LC funds CIA Democrats. And they mad at us because we don't want to give our money to them. We'd rather give our money to mutual aid, but they're not for that because they're class loyal. This is the dumb left. The people who say we can put Joe Biden to the left, that's the dumb left. That's the dumb left. So, by the way, you guys have some explaining to do. Because if we run Bernie Sanders and Nina Turner, and they figure out how to beat us. Because you guys realize the squad got in. You guys know why they got in the first place? They got in the first place because neoliberals in the Democratic Party legitimately believe their own nonsense. Remember the nonsense they said? They said if you run on progressive ideas, you can't win. So they were so much in Washington groupthink, they legitimately believed that. And they were caught sleeping, and they lost. They lost to AOC. They lost to Ilhan Omar. They lost to Rashida Tlaib. So what are they doing now? Sabrina already kind of highlighted it. They're coalescing, having Jim Harper and all the big names coming around, and then they flood dark money. And then there's Nina Turner, who once again, maybe I'm sorry, I liked her because I guess we follow each other, but I'm gonna call it out as it is. That's a nonsense excuse. Was you not paying attention to what the fuck just happened? We've seen this playbook already. It just happened on Super Tuesday, and you guys didn't learn nothing. So why am I getting upset? Because you guys are setting yourself up to fail because you guys refuse to take accountability for your guys actually being a dumb left. You guys are the ones who are losing. You guys who are the ones who had a horrible strategy. So if we can't beat this race, so let me twist this. So because I've been thinking about counter arguments to this. Oh, you expect us to be able to defeat dark money? You blaming this because people got mad because I blamed the squad because once again, if you had grassroots organization, you can't defeat this. They said, well, we couldn't win because there was a flood of dark money. Okay, what is your plan to overcome that? Because my argument is, if you had a strong grassroots, if you had the people who wasn't turned off by the squad, because I said before, the squad hurt Nina Turner, and I predicted that on this show weeks and weeks ago. I told you guys live on Fred Hampton Leftist, if Nina Turner lose, it will be because of the squad, because the squad turned off people I talked to personally. I talked to people in Ohio that said they know people who are not even into this shit no more. So they denying what I talked to people. I seen this. Everyone we had on the show, they said, yo, I was into this electoral politics nonsense, but not anymore. And you guys think that didn't make a difference? Imagine if you had people like me who travel and canvass for Bernie Sanders, who was doing that and travel for Nina Turner. But I was like, fuck no. Hell no. Especially after what the hell, you guys being weak. So if you guys had that advantage, you guys could have overcame the dark money. Now, let me flip it. If you disagree with me on that take, you know what that means? That means you're telling me that no matter how much grassroots enthusiasm we have, we will not overcome dark money. Checkmate, dumb left. Checkmate. So if you come to that conclusion, that means we cannot take over the Democratic Party. Checkmate.
Right.
You just admitted you lost. You called us the dumb left when we told you couldn't take over the Democratic Party. But with Nina Turner and her excuses, you just admitted you can't take over the Democratic Party. Because if Nina Turner can't win, who will? She's
nobody.
The game.
Nobody.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Checkmate.
No, that is checkmate, Nick. But what they're obviously are not going to see it that way. But I think I want to pose this question to you, Nick. I think the broader question about Nina Turner and dark money is the one that you pose, and that is if you're saying dark money is unbeatable, then how can anybody ever take over the Democratic Party? Because dark money is going to be there. But the question I pose to you, Nick, is do you think Nina Turner did not know dark money was going to come in? And if she didn't think that, you should not be running. Like, I know right now that if I run 5 years from now anywhere and I'm gaining popularity off of Medicare for All, off of ending wars, I know today, 5 years earlier, that dark money is going to enter that race.
All right, so
you get what I'm saying? So why do you think she didn't know that? And if she did, why didn't she plan for it?
I got you, JB. I'll shout it out. Greg said Emmett Vigeland is Elizabeth Warren Democrat. I mean Republican. Elizabeth Warren Republican. Because go ahead, JB.
There's more super chats that we need to get to.
Yes,
I'm going to give a shout out to Hot Channels thank you for your super chat. There's other super chats that I need to get to. This chat's been going on really well. And Jonathan Neves, and he actually asked a question. He says, "What is your opinion on status quo?"
My response to that was checkmate, because status quo was the same people making an argument that I just debunked.
Can you read that question out loud? I can't really see it. Read it just so.
He said, "Sup, y'all? J7 here. What is your opinion with status quo gaslighting people that we need to support Democrats because people are dying?"
Sorry, I gotta take that because that checkmate. I don't know if you guys saw this, but when I made my tweet criticizing the squad and saying that's why Nina Turner lost, Jordan on status quo on live stream said he disagreed with me. I like Jordan. We friends, and I'm worried about disagreeing with people, but I just checkmated you already because he didn't even understand my argument. Why
do we have to support Democrats? What is his argument on why the left?
I'm explain. Can I
go ahead? Go ahead.
So my take was, I said I blame the squad for killing enthusiasm for Nina Turner. And then on stream, he said he disagreed with me because he said, oh, well, it's actually conservative voters in that district. But I just checkmated you because I said, if you can't win those people over, if you can't overcome dark money, that means your strategy of taking over the Democratic Party wouldn't work. So you guys don't understand that you're contradicting yourselves. Jordan, once again, I like you. I don't mind when people disagree with me, to be honest. So I saw him disagreeing on my stream. I encountered Jen on Twitter because she challenged me. I ratioed her because I explained it because you guys didn't even understand my argument. Because that's why I went after that super chat. Because he was one of the people that tried to rebuke me. But once again, play the clip this, put it on Twitter, send to Jordan, send anyone else. I just checkmated you guys because you guys got some explaining to do. So if we can't overcome dark money, we need to change our strategy. If you don't want to change our strategy and you admit that we can't overcome the Democratic Party, that means you're grifting at this point. Because that means you want people to continue to donate to this perpetual cycle. Like, so that's my argument to them.
You have to pick a side. I get what you're saying. You have to pick one side. You can't straddle the line. I get what you're saying. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Well, I was just gonna say, let's all remember Bernie had the most money. Bernie raised the most money, and he didn't have dark money come in. So Bernie did something right to continue to have people continually donating money to Bernie. I continue to donate money to Bernie. So
it was the way he was speaking. It was the way he was speaking. He was unfiltered, saying Medicare for all, saying corruption. That's what got people to donate money.
Right. So why not follow that same strategy? Because I think what was confusing for me, I don't live in Ohio anyway, so I couldn't have voted for Nina anyway. But what was confusing to me was I didn't understand why Bakari Sellers was there.
Yup.
Because I'm like, really, dude? The same dude?
That's a spy. He got to be a spy.
I don't trust that dude. He continuously attacked Bernie's campaign. I didn't understand why, out of all the people, would he be on board?
What was he like? Was he part of the campaign, or he just came on the campaign day or on election day, or does anybody know what was his role, or was he just a friend of the campaign, or what happened?
Yeah,
nobody.
I don't think he was just a friend because they had video calls. Like I saw this posted on Twitter, like video calls and stuff. So he was helping. But I question that. Like maybe he wasn't really helping. Maybe he was trying to not help. Pretend like he was helping. I mean,
he was helping somebody else. Maybe he was helping the Democratic establishment.
That's what Jeff Weaver was doing.
I want to just real quick, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Like Thomas said, that backs me up, right? He said, I think 16% voter turnout supports Nick's argument that Nina lost because of the failures of the squad. Now, I wanted to add this, but I went long, so I wanted to pass it back to the panel. But you guys mentioned South Carolina, right? And and this is another reason why Sam Cedar and their crowd is dumb left, because they don't leave the studio and talk to people. I knocked on hundreds, actually thousands of doors, because I was canvassing for Bernie for 7 months. I was in Ohio, I went to South Carolina for 5 weeks, and I went to Missouri. This is why I don't buy the argument about conservative Democrats. You guys know at the exit polls, even the people who voted for Joe Biden support Medicare for all. They polled Democrats on a landline poll that showed 4 out of 5 Democrats support Medicare for all. And you making the argument that you can't win these people over? You are trash. You are the dumb left. You know how many older black people I converted to leftists? Are you kidding me? You know how many older black people I converted to support Medicare for all? And you telling me you can't do that? And you make how much money? Jeff Weaver?
It's a lazy strategy. It's a lazy strategy. Like the strategy you're talking about, Nick, takes work. That takes work, and they're just deploying lazy strategy, and they're coming up as losers.
And real quick, and funny things, AOC did that. Like Sabrina brought up, she knocked on every door and converted people and brought them out to polls. And then I don't even have to get too much into policy weeds with you guys, because you know what I learned when I was canvassing? It's whoever who get to the door first. Whoever get there first gets to vote, because you showed it. That's why the voter turnout is low. And now imagine if the squad didn't turn off activists, you would have people like me flying out there. You would have them on the phones. We just said, and Brown and Joy Gray broke it down how they didn't have a ground game. How are you going to overcome dark money without a ground game? You're the dumb left.
Did she ever tweet out asking for, hey, come help us in this calling bank? Did she ever do that for her supporters? I don't remember. I don't recall her ever doing that. I don't recall her ever doing that. Yeah,
it was too late when the announcement came out about the canvassing. Like it said, AOC and Nina Turner are going to canvass. Keep in mind, by the time I saw that was a couple of days before the March for Medicare for All, and it was the same day as the marches. So since I was participating in that, I can't be in two places at one time. Right. And then the other thing is why wasn't that announced earlier? Like Nick told you, he went and canvassed and knocked on doors. When people were canvassing for Bernie, like here in Massachusetts, like that went on for months. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like,
it sounds like a combination of things, Sabrina. It sounds like she did have a flawed strategy. And then it also sounds like dark money came in. But the broader point is the strategy of running as a Democrat could be also a flawed strategy, especially if you believe in these things, because the corporate Democrat is the one who's going to point out you want to throw everybody off of private healthcare insurance and make everybody have governmental healthcare. You know what I mean? Like the corporate Democrat is the one who's going to point that out. So it's just bizarre. It's always a bizarre situation because you really shouldn't be running as a Democrat. What I'm going to do is give you the last few minutes. If anybody wants to say anything else about this topic, I want to kind of squeeze in at least the video of the Andrew Cuomo because we need to address, this type of behavior by him. But does anyone else have anything to say about this topic? Your last words, JB. I think I saw your hand.
Well, and you guys are fair to disagree with me. If you guys have to leave in like 10 minutes, that's okay. But I think we should take some time to discuss Cuomo. Now, if you guys have to leave, that's fine, and I can discuss or something. But that's my proposal. What you guys think?
Yeah, I'm fine. So you're basically saying we can just go, go over 3 p.m. and then if people got to leave, they'll leave. But it is something that we got to address.
A long segment. It doesn't have to be too long, but I feel like I don't want to cut the conversation when you guys
absolutely.
It. So it's just up to you guys. If you guys leave, that makes sense because we already been on here for 2 hours. But I just want to make sure we properly.
Yeah, we cover it properly.
Go ahead, I think
go ahead, JB. Go ahead with the super chat, sir.
Okay. So I wanted to give the shout out to Misanthropic and Out of Coffee. It says direct action agorism for the passive aggressive progressive. Just trying to get to as many of the super chats as I possibly can. We already shouted him out. I just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure that we shout out Greg. Thank you for the super chat. And there's a couple more. I think I just skipped over. This thing is really, really going.
Yeah, it's hard to keep it when it's going.
Everybody's talking so good. And I think, but the thing is, these conversations are great. Roger Meadows, I want to give you a shout out. Let me see. You skip mine for the Citizen Ballot Initiative. Savs sees me. Okay. I think you already addressed that, Sabby.
No, this okay. Yeah, this was one of the super chats we had missed. It popped up, but we didn't read, and I think that's what he's saying. We skipped one of his. We didn't actually read it, but now you got to it, so great. All right. So, did you have anything else, JB? Did you want to also comment or have any more super chats that you needed to read before we?
We getting more as we go in.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that I get to these really quick. We already covered this, but from Roger Meadows again. Then there was a couple more. Great from Truth Bearer, great podcast, great to discover. But guys, keep in mind that with special election and non-presidential, non-midterm year, it's always a low turnout.
They'll always benefit conservatives. Always.
Yeah.
Joel
It's always a low turnout. I'm just a person that never says, if you tell me that's how it's been 10 years, I'm just going to tell you how I'm going to make that that ends. You get what I'm saying? I'm not a person that just goes off of that. So I would not go with that. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Joe Shop says Sabi and Afeni said the squad couldn't get legislation through because they are women of color. Thoughts?
That wasn't all that we said. We were giving examples, like that was part of the factor, but also the fact that they were leftists, they were further left than the Democrats, and they were coming into the Democratic Party. So they were already at a disadvantage. And I use the example of that's like busing a kid here from Roxbury, which they still do busing in Boston, to Newton to go to an all-white school in Newton and then telling them to overcome. So they were already going to have a disadvantage against them. And I think that a lot of times people didn't talk about that in the beginning when they were running, didn't talk about that when they first got in. They expected them just to come in and overthrow everything. And they already were at a disadvantage.
Do we know Joel Shop? Has he commented before anybody knows him? Because okay, we just need to I just want to say that we want to make sure, not make sure, but when they send these super chats, they're not necessarily, screened. And I'm not sure this person is asking the question from an honest place, because nowhere in there did she say anything about women of color. So they took what Sabrina said, and this is their interpretation. And Shabby and Afeni clearly didn't say that. So that's why I wanted to point out that if this was a person we knew, then maybe, okay, I can concede maybe it's a genuine question, but I'm not sure this is an honest actor with this question here.
He might be talking about from when Afeni was on my show the other night.
Okay. Then
But
that's something
that
I'm not
wasn't-
aware of. Yeah.
That wasn't the sole reason, but we were saying that like they were expecting them to come in and just like overthrow everything, and they already were at a disadvantage, and it's just not realistic.
Okay. So yeah, women of color would be at a disadvantage. So if that's what you were saying, then that's a completely different story. Okay. So was there any other super chats, JB, before we get to Andrew Cuomo?
Yep. This one from Revolutionary Drew. You don't win by running as diet progressives campaign. I think I got through them. So if I missed any, I do apologize. But thank you for the super chats in general. We appreciate all of it.
Can I say one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed is, why did Bernie wait so late to come out in support of Nina's campaign? You would have thought, since Nina ran all over this country with Bernie and promoting him and propping up his campaign, I felt like he should have been there from the very beginning. And I think that him coming in late like that didn't do Nina justice.
Do you think any of the Democratic establishment had any sort of conversation with him and say, yeah, if you're going to support her, make sure you do it at the end? Because they know if Bernie Sanders is out there campaigning for 2 months, ain't much you're going to be able to do to beat that. So, hey, you need to go in at the end. What I'm doing is just throwing out, being the devil's advocate, just trying to figure out, because if it's not an outside force that's causing Bernie Sanders, Nina Turner, and Cori Bush and AOC to turn away from principles we believe they should have, then it has to be something else. Is it them? Either we're saying it's them, or if there's an outside force. And I'm just trying to make a distinction on if it's an outside force, or at least hear what your thoughts if you think it's an outside force.
That could be part of it. It could be his good friend, Joe Biden, that he
Yeah.
likes to refer to. But even when AOC came into canvas, that was so late. Like you got to start this early.
Right. It's unfortunate, but like I said in one of my tweets, it could be one of the best things for the left, because the left emotionally, mentally is so fragile that they can't really take a leftist icon like her, or a leftist leader like her. I'm not going to say icon, a leftist leader like her being co-opted like AOC. Like it would be sort of devastating mentally. But if there's no other words here, let's move to the last one. Let's play video 2, JB. This is the Andrew Cuomo video. It kind of goes over what happened, and then we can kind of comment on the other side. Now, as Nick said, if you got to take off, because we're only 3 minutes away from our normal time, if you got to take off, do what you got to do. And for those that can stay and kind of address this, please do. I'll be on as long as I can. Okay, so JB, if it's ready, I think we are ready.
Real quick, CJ, I
Yes.
gotta go take off to get something to eat before my next
Okay.
show.
Before you do that, shout your show out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's can we put her back on the screen, JB? So let's give her an opportunity to kind of shout out what's going on with her before she leaves. Thanks for stopping us there.
No worries. All right, guys. So definitely make sure I'll see you guys a little bit. I'm in about an hour. I'm going to be on with Comrade Misty talking about why free speech is a feminist issue. So come right back here, and I'll see you at 7:00. And also, don't forget to check out my interview with Tara Reid over on my channel.
Perfect.
Right.
Thank you, Meg.
See you guys a little bit.
Go get some food so we can watch your show in about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Do you talk better when you're on an empty stomach, or is it better when you're full?
Good question. I don't know, but I just need to get some
we gotta
food.
test
I'm
it out
sorry.
to see which one it is. I guess it would depend on the topic if we're talking about. I guess so. So okay. All right, Meg.
Bye,
So
guys.
everybody say bye to Meg.
Bye.
All right, JB. Whenever you're ready, sir, to play that video.
Oh wait. Oop. Okay. Okay, perfect. Got it.
All of that. But we do want to start with all the details of exactly what a scumbag Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York is. Of course, we've been covering for a long time all of the many scandals that he has been enmeshed in. Now, personally, I would argue that basically allowing elderly people to die in nursing homes, covering that up, giving VIP treatment to his brother and a ton of other people, using state resources to write his multi-million-dollar book, I would say that that was already enough.
That was enough to impeach
get
him
rid of this
and
guy.
have him go on its own.
Yes,
Yeah.
but now we also know new details from an investigation by Democratic Attorney General Letitia James, just what a jerk and a scumbag and a bully and a disgusting sex pest he was, allegedly, in terms of his operation within his office. Let's take a listen to a little bit of what she had to say.
Governor Cuomo sexually harassed current and former state employees in violation of both federal and state laws. The Independence investigation found that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, many of whom were young women, by engaging in unwanted groping, kisses, hugging, and by making inappropriate comments. Further, the governor and his senior team took actions to retaliate against at least one former employee for coming forward with her story.
So there was a lot we learned in this report. We're going to get to Cuomo's defense in a moment. Basically,
all righty. I think that was it, JB. Thank you, sir. I just wanted a way of kind of summing it up really quickly, and then that snippet of the Attorney General of New York, kind of just giving some of the things that was discovered in this investigation. So I think it's up to 11 women is named in this investigation, or talked about in this. They're not named, but talked about in this investigation. One of which was on his security detail, I believe. It was a trooper. Some of these women are actually still working in the governor's office or for the government. So these are past and current employees. They do have some graphic detail in the investigation. If you can go and read about it, I did take a brief look at it. I should say, just to be fair, Joe Biden has almost in the interview, at least, it looked begrudgingly admitted that he is calling for the resignation of Andrew Cuomo and some other Democrats after the release of this investigation. So I'm just trying to give all the information just so we can have a very informed discussion. And lastly, what I'll add is the state legislators in New York are either preparing to draft or are going to be drafting articles of impeachment. They first have to do the investigation part, and I think they said is roughly going to be about 30 days. But what's different in New York is once the articles of impeachment are presented, he's immediately removed as the governor. Then they have the trial. If he wins, then he is put back in. But once he is delivered the articles, he is removed immediately. So that is something different about New York. And then there's a trial. If the Senate convicts him, or if the Senate does not convict him, then he's put back into power. So that's something different in New York. So let's go ahead. Ladies first. We'll start with Sabrina, then we'll go to JB, then end with Nick. What are your thoughts? Go ahead, JB. I see your finger up. Did you have a super chat or something? Go ahead.
Yep, I got two. Misanthropic said, we need strong ideas. New abolitionists are awesome. Check out the Derica Purnell on Center for Contemporary Critical Thought. Abolition 1313 video. Fire. Abolish the police state. That's right up Nick's alley. We know and we love. And then Roger Meadows says, I'm from New York State. I don't have any money to put this chapter. The corruption Cuomo has been engaged in since 2011. Sabs are going to email you a list. So that's all.
I just want to add one thing. Since you guys mentioned Derica Purnell, if you guys like want to leave a comment on there and say or tell them or give me some information, DM me on Twitter. I would love to talk about their thoughts on abolition, because that's right up my alley. So I just want to mention that too. But go ahead, CJ.
No, perfect. That it was good that we got that in. So what I just wanted everybody to just kind of give their thoughts on Andrew Cuomo. Like, what's coming out to me is that this guy has been pretty disgusting from a long time. So he's pretty much Donald Trump with a D, and he's been in office for a while. And everybody knows that he's a tyrant. He rules with an iron fist. He retaliates. I think that's mentioned also in an investigation. So he's a pretty disgusting person. Sabrina, I'll let you have first word. What are your thoughts on any part of this, all of this? You have the floor.
I want to know why, first and foremost, then, Biden should resign too. It's funny to me, like, he's making that statement like he's one to talk. Are you kidding me? Like, get out of here. Why is Biden shouldn't be there either? Listen, there's a long list of politicians that have this behavior. And Cuomo is not the first, and he probably won't be the last. He should have resigned when the first set of allegations came out against him. He didn't, stayed in office, and people protested outside his office too for him to resign. Stayed in office. Now you got another set of allegations coming out against you. And he even went on TV after the first set of allegations and said that they were false. Then evidence came out, and then he came back and apologized. So after he apologized, he was admitting guilt, and he should have resigned then. This should not have gone on for as long as it has. It is disgusting. It is sick. And it makes you wonder, and you got to think about this, because his brother is a correspondent on CNN. So he not only has the power, the political power, he has the media on his side. And that is a dangerous combination.
Do you know more about what's happening with Chris? Is he getting criticized? Is he not really reporting on it? Like, do you know what's going on? Have you heard anything? I'm not saying I don't watch corporate media, but if you know anything, that's why I was asking.
I saw, I'll let Sabby answer here soon, but I saw Glenn Greenwald and all the usual media critics go after them, and they've been calling this out. And as usual, shitlib Twitter was defending them because they're a cult.
Oh wow!
But these are the kind of things that normal people will see, and that's why their ratings are in the tank. Because people see through this and they don't like it, but shitlib is going to be shitlib. So what can you do? But go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dangerous combination for someone to have the media power and to have political power on their side. And this is part of the reason why he's been able to get away with what he's been doing for so long. This is not like these stories aren't brand new. This stuff is going back and back like years and stuff. So I'm pretty sure this isn't the first time that some of those women probably complained about it. And they probably started internally, probably went to HR, which I always tell you guys, HR is a joke. They work for the employer.
Exactly. I tell people all the time, they're not your friend at all. There are spies. There are plants. Exactly. That's what they are.
No.
They work for the corporation. Yeah. Absolutely.
But this is a side conversation. Just think of that. What capitalism are doing. Calling the very spy for them human resources and convincing the employee to say these people are on your side, although the same bosses is paying them. Like, just think of the genius in convincing people that human resources is working for you. It's so absurd. But anyway, let's go back to the conversation. Go ahead.
I wonder why I was radicalized. Like, I became radicalized just becoming an adult and seeing how corporate, like, I was selling cars. I was part of the corporate machine for years. Just seeing that alone was radicalized. Not to radicalize me. Go ahead, CJ.
That was just something that I just had it to comment on because it's one of my pet peeves. Like, media and propaganda is probably one of my number one pet peeves all the time, and when I'm talking politics. But let's go back to Sabrina for any last thoughts, or not last thoughts, but any other part you were going to say, because I think we may have interrupted you on your last point. So I want to give you that opportunity. Did you have any other point you were gonna make?
Oh, well, it just shows you the hypocrisy. In politics, because where are all those senators? Where is Mr. What's his name? Mr. Dramatic, Cory Cory Booker? Where's
yeah.
Kamala Harris? All those people who stood up and came out against Brett Kavanaugh. Where's that same fire and that same energy now that it's a member of their own party? Where is that?
Where's Kristen Sinema?
Alyssa Milano, Joy Takai. I mean, we can just list them. Deborah Messing. Are they tweeting out about this? Don't they live in New York? I think they.
Yep.
I think they live in New York, or at least two of those people live in New York. It's
Sinema
just absurd.
Kristen Sinema is a senator from New York. She took over Hillary Clinton's seat.
Ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. Yeah. But what are your thoughts, JB? Let's go to JB. What are your thoughts on all of it, or anything Sabrina said? Just a general topic of this guy still being in office and Democrats not really having the same tone, the same fire about asking for his resignation as they did for like a Donald Trump or a Brett Kavanaugh. What are your thoughts?
First off, I want to give a shout out to the super chat from David Outcult. Thank you very much for the super chat. But you know what? This is something that has been going on for thousands of years. Men of power abusing their position, doing this to women. And I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna say something that you don't hear a lot. Men in power who do this make the rest of us men look bad. You guys are messing us up too, because the thing is that number one, you're messing with our moms, our sisters, our cousins, our grandparents. You're messing with our families, right? We don't play that. And also, you're making us look bad because now you have a lot of our female co-workers that work with us, and now they have to be cautious and nervous around us. Even though we're the ones who they don't really have anything to fear, but still, we can't blame them for being anxious about it because of pigs like them, because of pigs like Joe Biden, and poor women like Tara Reid and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford have to be ridiculed and smeared for when they come out. Like we men, if we see that in the workplace, we need to shut it down because that's not okay. And the thing is the fact that you have every single male Democrat should be calling for his resignation. Every single man, including people who aren't necessarily in the Democratic Party. Bernie should be coming out. Wait. Where in the hell is Bernie?
Where's AOC? She was loud.
Where's Bernie? Where's AOC? Where's Mundir Jones? Jamal Bowman?
Hey James,
what happened?
Hey, that's violence. Calling out AOC for not standing up for women.
Wait, I can't hear them. What in the hell? You mean to tell me that you're gonna have this guy be accused, and then Letitia James comes out and says he did all these things, and you guys aren't on Twitter? I thought y'all liked to tweet. I thought tweeting was your thing. And yet you're still staying silent because he's a Democrat?
Right.
Oh, we see. Look at us. We see what it's all about. The thing is that you guys really don't care, do you? What you know? I mean, look, Gavin Newsom, you don't care. Hell, I barely see any Republicans talking about it.
Yeah.
Hey, JB, it's actually worse than that. And not only that they don't care, they go on the offensive against Tara Reid and the accusers. You got Brooklyn Dad was paid by the Democratic Party to tweet, and Brooklyn Dad went after Andrew Cuomo sexual assault victims. So put two and two together. That means he was paid by the Democratic establishment to smear the sexual assault victims of powerful white men. Go ahead.
Hang on. Did I say Gillibrand or Cinema? Because
we know what you mean.
hold on, but you know what? Both of them.
Why not?
Where's Joe Manchin? Huh? Where's he? Look, and all these people, including people on mainstream media, where are you, Chuck Todd? Where are you, Joe Scarborough? Where are you guys? Where are you, David Muir of ABC News? Where are you guys?
Where's
you guys not
Emoji
going to talk?
Dude?
Huh?
Where's Emoji Dude?
we're
but to your
yeah,
point,
electing.
but to your point, JB, you're pointing out how Democrats and mainstream media, they just don't cover it the same way. Like, could you imagine? Let's say this was Texas governor. He's a Republican. Could you imagine what they would be saying if they discovered all this stuff? Could you imagine mainstream media covering it wall to wall? He must resign. Asking every single person, are you asking him for resign, or you don't ask him for resign? Are you for a sexual assault? That type of just relentless attacking. Like, why isn't that not being done in this case? Like, it's been proven. This is not partisan at all. Like, Letitia James is a Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
They got an outside agency, an outside firm to investigate. So no political connections. These outside firms says this is terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just saying, if it was Donald Trump and an outside firm, y'all would be pointing all of this out. Look, it was independent. It wasn't no bipartisan. It wasn't no bias. And they said this, and they will be saying all this stuff and making all kind of quilts and all kind of things.
Hold up. This is exactly why we say that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are both in the same party, just different factions. Because when it confronted with the exact same things, they both do the exact same shit. And so guess what? Donald Trump did some sexual assault. Oh, Republicans were like, oh, sure, we don't know anything about that. Then next thing you know, you got Joe Biden with the same thing. Oh, we don't know anything about that with Joe Biden. No, Tara Reid, who? No, we don't know anything about no Tara Reid. Then next thing you know, then you get somebody like Andrew Cuomo. Oh, we don't want to know anything. Oh, that's my brother. Chris Cuomo's like, no, see, I don't want to talk about him. He's gonna beat me up when I get home. Is that really going to happen, Chris Cuomo? You're not going to talk about your brother? Then you know what? Then don't interview him at all and let somebody else do the interview, and then you guys need to tag him. But CNN don't want to do it. CNN don't want to do it because they're in New York, because they want to have that access to power, because CNN is complicit. Because guess what? The people who are in the leaders of CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and all those other companies are probably doing the same shit that Jeffrey Epstein did. They're probably on the list too, allegedly.
I like how you throw in allegedly right there, JB. We have.
Yeah, I'm not getting us in trouble. Hell no. But
I guess you got to do that. But go ahead, finish.
But look, you had Les Moonves of CBS. He was the head of CBS, and then next thing you know, he was accused of sexual assault. So these guys, they don't want to do it because that means that shines the light on them, and then when it shines the light on them, it takes away their credibility. And the thing is that none of these people are credible at all. And we're finding out in real time. And the thing is that when are people going to wake up and stop covering for these sick people?
Republican or Democrat. And I think one of you said both Republican and Democrat aren't really saying that. And I would say, what issue would get Republicans and Democrats to swallow their tongue? Is issues that both of them are guilty for. That's the issue. And it's the reason why Joe Biden was so begrudgingly saying, yeah, because then if you say he has to resign, it's only logically that somebody's going to say, wait a minute, Joey over there. What about Tara Reid? Mm-hmm. And this is the reason why they kind of all just kind of, stray away from it. Even the people in the media, Chris Cuomo. Think about this. How is Chris Cuomo? How can he do his job as a journalist when he can't report on one of the top stories that's going on? You shouldn't have this job. But let's bring in Nick. Nick, what? I know you have something to sum up. You've been cooking up something there. So, what is your thoughts on all of this? Any part you want to comment on, sir? Go ahead.
My man JB on fire. I love when you pull out the impressions. I love when you pull out the impressions, man. We're having fun. This is a fun time. Now, let's get started. Because people always wonder why I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. People was upset with me in the lead up to the election when people were like, "Oh, we gotta vote out Donald Trump. He's the worst of all time." This is Trump derangement syndrome. Now, what is Trump derangement syndrome? Trump derangement syndrome is the concept in which Donald Trump is somehow morally inferior to the people that we currently have in power. That he somehow like people like Hillary Clinton has the moral high ground over him. The idea that people like Joe Biden has the moral high ground over him. The idea that Andrew Cuomo has the moral high ground over him. That is the concept of Trump derangement syndrome. It leads to the political philosophy of vote blue no matter who. Now, I wanted to properly define that, right? So why didn't I have Trump derangement syndrome? Because they all are morally bankrupt, and Trump is just more of the same. Trump was a Democratic donor for years. Trump was a friend of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Ivanka Trump and Chelsea Clinton have been good friends for a long time. In fact, they are still friends. It's a big club, and guess who's not in it? So when you see what happened with Andrew Cuomo, you guys already did a great breakdown about the story, so there's no need to me dive into that. That's why I want to take it on a different angle. This is an epidemic of the elites. This is what we have to message out, and honestly, no one's doing it. We have the opportunity to be the first ones to make this argument, because I have been making this argument on my show ever since day one when I had 10 viewers. You know what I mean? So my argument is that we have a culture of depravity in the elite, in the ruling class. Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, Andrew Cuomo. So my question I want to pose to you guys: what is it about neoliberal elite culture that leads to this culture of depravity, where they not only doing these horrific things like sex trade, bombing Doctors Without Borders, destabilizing entire regions, implementing slave labor? But then this is why it's important for us, especially as Black leftists, to make this argument. Because what do these white supremacists do, including Joe Biden, who recently done this as well? They want to say the Black people are the morally depraved ones. They want to say Black people are the violent ones. Black people did not destabilize the Middle East. Black people did not commit a genocide against the indigenous people. In fact, we had our wealth stolen from us. We've been criminalized by this country, and we have not sought revenge. What does that say about our culture? That we have been put through hell, and the only thing we want is equality. Meanwhile, our community are smeared as violent. We are smeared as unreasonable. That's why the Karen thing is amazing. Because think about Hollywood. How did they depict our Black women? For decades and decades, Black women was shown as being loud, ghetto, and belligerent. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, BET, by the way. Thank you for that. Thank you for pushing that white supremacy on us. By the way. So now the internet became a thing. And now people can show reality instead of what Hollywood shows us. And now what do we see? That's the Karen epidemic. Well, it's not the Black women who are loud and ghetto and belligerent. It's the Amy Coopers. It's the white liberal wine mom. That's why I love the Karen meme. I love it because we just flipped the table on them. Now back to my main point. The elites, like Joe Biden, they want to say we are super predators. They want to say our community is the worst. And then if you want to make the argument that it's Republicans too, hell yeah, Republicans. Donald Trump, Matt Gaetz. So it's an elite problem. The pedophiles come out of Harvard. The pedophiles come out of Yale. The pedophiles come out of the Catholic Church. The war criminals are the people that literally that Trump gave pardons to. They gave pardons to this guy who was a serial killer in Iraq, who went around and killing entire families of Muslim people because he said he didn't like Muslims. And Donald Trump gave that guy a pardon, which have support from both parties. Because do you see Democrats make a stink over that? No, they were talking about Russiagate. Did the media cover that nonstop? Nope. My point I am making is this needs to be the message that we come out. This is why neo-Turner lose, by the way. This is why progressives lose, by the way. Because they pretend Hakeem Jeffries, they pretend Adam Schiff, they pretend they are moral equals to them. So if you pretend these people are moral equals to you, how do you make the argument to the neoliberals, the conservative Democrats that you make excuses for? How do you make the argument that they should vote for you instead of them? Because you're the dumb left. And you don't even understand basic strategy. I'm a college dropout. How much do you get paid, Jeff Weaver? You don't understand this concept? Fred Hampton Leftist.
Yeah, that's absolute fire there. Did anybody have anything they wanted to piggyback on what Nick is saying about this? I mean, I know it's hard to follow. I know it's hard to follow. You're like, hold on, I'm not following that.
I think the most basic examples, because I don't remember names like that, to be honest, but it's literally constant. Like this thing are all the people in Hollywood who are Democratic donors who've been caught. Look, now think about Republicans too, because I know
Anthony Weiner. I know there's been a lot. There's been a couple. I
Harvey
think on
Weinstein is
Idaho.
friends with Obama.
Like it's just
Obama's
one
daughter-
after another. It's just one after another.
Barack Obama's daughter's intern with Harvey Weinstein. That's how close Barack Obama was with Harvey Weinstein. And Michelle Obama famously was like, when she was praising him at one of their dinners, she invited them there because they're good friends. Good Harvey Weinstein, our friend. If it went for Harvey Weinstein, this wouldn't be possible. Harvey Weinstein is a great guy. And you want to tell me Obama with his resources, with his connection, he don't know what's going on? Get the fuck out of here. That everyone knew what the hell was going on, especially the people on the inside. If you're on the outside, it makes sense that you probably wasn't in the know. You tell me a guy who's that close to Harvey Weinstein don't know what's going on. Even if you don't believe that, I take your point. My point is, how does someone like Harvey Weinstein even get that close? I don't even want to distract you guys, even if you disagree with that point.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, how does
I'll pass it back to you guys.
no, how does a person like that get to this close to the Democratic Party that claimed to be these great, people? I get the point. Was there any other super chats, JB, before we go around the table for last thoughts, for shout outs? And we're going to be bringing this to the end. Meg does have a live stream coming up soon, so we do have to kind of get off. Otherwise, we can go, we can talk for days on this
all night long. Sorry,
no super chat, JB.
Musical references.
no musical chats, JB.
But no, as far as super chats, not that I know of. I think I went through them all. If I did miss any of your super chats, I do. Roger Meadows just came in. Roger Meadows says, regarding Cuomo, the only absolute thing about absolute power is that it corrupts absolutely, regardless which gender holds that power. Think Hillary. Yes, thank you so much. That was the only super chat that came up.
Okay.
And if you guys want to, just please make sure to go to Ko-Fi.com. It's in the Chiron right down here as you see it going. And just donate to us there if you like, as well if you want to donate after our stream. But thank you so much for that.
Sabrina, you have any last words? What do you have coming up for yourself?
Tomorrow is Friday. Yes. Tomorrow on FHL at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be talking about the wealth gap in this country between Black people and white people. So stay tuned for that. And then tomorrow at 7 p.m. on my channel, Sabby Sabs, Comrade Misty's coming on along with Meg. And Comrade Misty's going to talk about Ohio electoral politics, and in reference also to Nina's race. And Meg has a surprise announcement for people about FHL.
Awesome.
We got another super chat.
Go ahead.
Want to see politicians call out other politicians and citizen ballot initiatives to abolish political parties from local to fed. Thank you so much.
Yeah, ballot initiatives are absolutely important. It's how the people can go around these corporate people. That's how they got it past the $15 minimum wage in Florida. I think it's 15, right? In Florida now, or will be?
It's going to be. Yes,
it's going to be. So it went around. So yeah, absolutely. Ballot initiatives. Let's go to Nick. What do you got going on, sir? What do you got coming up?
The most important thing I want you guys to do is check out Meg's show coming up. I appreciate all the continued support. You guys like to tune in on the Thursday shows, but we got a lot of other great programs, including Meg coming up. We also have Revolutionary Jargon tomorrow, and Saturday we pushed this back from last week, but I will have Cherry Honkala. She was the 2012 vice presidential nominee, and she is suing the state. We'll talk about that more. She runs the Poor People Army, and this is the kind of stuff we promote at Hampton Leftists: legit, direct action and mutual aid. And Cherry Honkala have been putting in the work, and she is deeply, deeply underrated on the left. So this is the same time she'll come on. They're going to talk about their 16 points of solidarity as well. So this is extremely important. Please tune in on Saturday. Also on Tuesday, I had the privilege earlier a few weeks ago to talk to Kareem Batesh. He's a professor out of Hong Kong, and he preaches about U.S. imperialism and white supremacy. So we will invite him back. We're going to do a dual stream because his podcast is deeply underrated. This guy is amazing on foreign policy, but not even that. He's extremely flexible when it comes to talking about cultural issues. He calls out the problems in his community the same we do. He comes from Dutch in the Netherlands, and when we had our conversation, he's playing the history of white supremacy, and I was amazed. This guy is really, really underrated. So I want to give these people a platform. So it will be a dual stream on their channel and our channel on Tuesday. So the point is, make sure you check all our content out because we try to upload every day, and we really want to spread this message to the new left.
Yes, I think for me, that was one of the more important things is that when we wanted to do this channel, I always felt like leftist media didn't put out enough content. I always felt like I needed more. There needs to be more to combat, the propaganda coming out. So I'm so happy.
Real quick, that's the biggest problem in the leftist movement is propaganda. So
right.
You have people that say, "Oh, you got a podcast." That's important. You got to educate before you
exactly.
have revolution.
It's a podcast. Education is the first step to any revolution because we have to know what we are all revolution. What are we fighting? Like it's so important.
One last point, like Fred Hampton used to give speeches. Do you guys really believe that someone like Fred Hampton wouldn't take advantage of this kind of technology? How else are we supposed to get people prepared for revolution?
Right.
I see a few dumb say that, like, "Oh, you got Fred Hampton, Leftist got a podcast." Bro, he used to give speeches. If he had this technology available, I think 100% he would try to do everything he could to educate people. Because education would lead to revolution. But that's what I said. Sorry, I want to go back to you guys.
Thanks to Roger Meadows, Governor Spitzer was made designed for consensual sex with prostitute, but really because his attorney general, he went scorched earth on Wall Street. Yet Cuomo won't leave.
Yeah, it's terrible. Thanks for that super chat. I think we're gonna end it there. Just JB, unless you had something coming up that you got your show coming up, so you want to say anything about your show?
Oh yeah, so the JB show will be live on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be talking with Alan Max Axelrod about the no Ameren shutoffs and the development with that. He was actually my first guest ever on my show.
I remember. Mm-hmm.
So I would be having him back on, but this time we're going to be doing a live show. And so if you guys want to come into the chat and ask any questions that you want, and to also establish, doing talking about utility shutoffs in your own state, he is one of the best people that I know that organizes.
Yeah.
I also want to get to one of the last super chats that we have. We just got another super chat here. Keeping the lights on. I so happily give my shekels. Thanks to Egg64. Thank you.
All right.
So before we end, super chats are great, but make sure you guys support us on Ko-fi.
Yeah.
Because YouTube rips us off. So we appreciate the super chats. That's a good way for us to see your comments. But if you really want your solidarity, that's not really the way to do it. The way to do it is support through Ko-fi. Sorry, go back.
All right. I know Sabrina has to kind of take off, so we want to make sure we get out of here. Meg is coming up. Make sure you check out my show every Wednesday. First one is noon my time, noon Pacific, and then the second one is 4:30 Pacific. Make sure you check out both of those. We're signing off. Fred Hampton, Leftist. This is the Roundtable. Join us next week.
Thanks for all the super chats.
Bye.
Bye.